There is a power that does not shout, yet it commands the entire universe. It is not found in banks or business plans, nor is it limited by circumstances or conditions. This power lies within your spoken word. Every word you utter is a decree that goes forth into the invisible, carving out your destiny, building bridges to unseen treasures, and unlocking doors no human hand can open. You are not a beggar in the game of life. You are a creator, a spiritual being, divinely equipped with the power to call forth riches from the storehouse of infinite supply. And that power is as near to you as your breath, as instant as your next word. But few understand that every idle word, every fearful phrase is a seed. Some speak poverty without knowing they are sowing it. Some speak delays, blocks and struggles, and life responds, not because it is cruel, but because the law is exact. It gives to you what you affirm, not what you wish. Today I am here to remind you of a forgotten truth. Your spoken word is the key that unlocks riches, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. When you speak with faith, when you align your word with the divine right of abundance, all the forces of heaven rush to fulfill it. The universe does not hesitate. It is you who must decide. Will you command wealth, or will you delay it with doubt? It is written, "Thou shalt decree a thing, and it shall be established unto thee." The law does not fail, but it waits on your word. You have the power to speak the invisible into form, to call forth the money you need, the opportunities you desire, the freedom your soul longs for. So as you listen today, remember, every word you speak is creating your world. Will you speak defeat, or will you speak abundance by divine right? The choice is yours, and the universe is listening. Your word is your wand. Every time you open your mouth, you are not simply speaking. You are casting a spell that shapes your world. The words you utter are not empty vibrations. They are commands sent forth into the unseen, building the circumstances of your life with mathematical precision. But here lies the great secret that many have forgotten. Most people wield this wand carelessly. They speak defeat when they long for victory. They affirm poverty while yearning for riches. And without realizing it, they write a script of limitation with the very tool designed to set them free. You have been given a wand of power, the spoken word, and it responds not to your wishes or dreams but to the certainty of your declarations. When you say money is hard to earn, the universe bows to your decree. When you say, "I never get lucky," life makes it so. But when you stand in the authority of your divine right and declare, "Riches flow to me now," under grace and in perfect ways, you shift the very currents of your reality. Yet how often do you catch yourself casting spells of lack without knowing? A simple phrase like, "I can't afford it," is a wand swung against your own abundance. Every sigh of "I'm always struggling" plants seeds of hardship in the soil of your life. The game of life is played with words, and the scoreboard is your everyday experience. But you are not doomed to repeat the past. In this very moment, you can choose a new spell. You can pick up the wand of your word and direct it with wisdom, with faith, and with the unwavering knowledge that what you declare shall be established. The universe is not distant, it is responsive, alive, and eagerly awaiting your command. Invisible substance surrounds you now, ready to take form at the slightest instruction. It is like a sea of unshaped clay, waiting for your word to mold it into wealth, opportunities, and divine surprises. But here's the spiritual law. The clay only responds when you give it a shape with your spoken word. Until you speak, it remains formless, untouched. This is why so many desires remain in the realm of someday, because the decree has not been made. It is not enough to think wealth, or to wish for abundance in silence. You must speak it into life. The act of speaking is an act of authority, a declaration to the universe that you are ready to receive. The word is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Every word you speak is a seed, and your world becomes the harvest. But be mindful, every spell you cast, whether in jest, complaint, or casual conversation, carries creative power. When you say, "I'm tired of being broke," you are not venting. You are ordering the law to continue that condition. But the moment you catch yourself and reverse it with, "I am now aligned with divine riches, money comes to me in surprising ways," you shift the direction of your life. Do you see how powerful you are? Your words are not powerless. They are not mere expressions of emotion. They are the steering wheel of your destiny. And the universe, in its perfect precision, responds with exactness to your every decree. So the question is not whether you are casting spells, you are doing it every day. The question is, are you casting spells of riches or reversals? Are you speaking life into your finances, or are you unconsciously reinforcing lack? The wand is in your hand, and the outcome is yours to decide. As you begin to awaken to this truth, you will notice how swiftly life rearranges itself in response to your words. Opportunities will appear where there were none. Money will find its way to you through channels you never imagined. Because the universe was never withholding from you, it was simply waiting for you to give the command. This brings us to the next great secret. Invisible substance responds instantly, but it waits for your command. The law of supply is already at work, but it will not move until you speak. The riches you desire are not on their way. They are already here, in the invisible, waiting to be shaped by your word. You are not waiting on the universe is waiting on you. Invisible substance responds instantly, but it waits for your command. This is a truth so profound that most walk past it daily, unaware that they are surrounded by an ocean of unshaped supply. Every desire, every dream, every vision you hold in your heart exists already, not in the physical but in the invisible field of divine substance. It is not a question of if it exists, it is only a question of whether you will summon it into form. The law of supply is perfect. It has no bias, no preference. It does not select the worthy or the unworthy. It simply waits. It waits in stillness, attentive and poised for the sound of your word. And when you speak, it moves. Not slowly, not reluctantly, but instantly. The moment you declare, "I am now receiving unlimited wealth under grace," invisible substance begins its sacred work of manifestation. Yet how often do we leave this divine servant idle, unmoved, because we hesitate to command? Most people live their lives thinking they must beg for blessings, strive endlessly, or earn the right to be wealthy. But the universe does not function through human striving. It operates on spiritual laws, and these laws are activated by your word, not your worry. The spoken word is the switch that turns potential into reality. Until you speak, potential remains unexpressed, no matter how deserving you feel. But here's the paradox. Invisible substance responds instantly, yet it appears as though nothing is happening when you first speak. This is where many falter. They declare their good once, perhaps twice, and seeing no immediate result, they retreat into doubt. But the law is not at fault. It is your wavering that delays the visible manifestation. The invisible is already moving the moment you speak, but it requires your sustained faith to complete the process. Imagine a king who commands his servants to build a magnificent palace. The moment the order is given, the work begins. The foundation is laid, the walls are erected, the treasures are gathered. But if the king, in impatience, revokes his command midway, the work ceases. The palace remains unfinished, not because the builders failed, but because the command was withdrawn. So it is with your words. Every declaration you make sets invisible forces in motion. They begin to arrange circumstances, shift energies, and open pathways for your wealth to appear. But if you cancel your command with words of doubt, you halt the process. This is why consistency in your spoken word is the key. The law does not fail, but it follows your lead. You must become as unwavering as the law itself. Speak your word, and keep speaking it, not as a plea, but as a statement of fact. Riches are now flowing to me under grace. Money comes to me in perfect ways. These are not wishes, they are commands, and the invisible substance, ever responsive, begins to mold your words into visible riches. But remember, the invisible does not move on vague desires or idle thoughts. It responds to clarity and authority. If you are unclear in your declarations, the substance remains formless. But when you speak with conviction, with absolute certainty, the universe aligns itself with your word. This is why it is written, "Let the weak say I am strong." It is not about reporting facts, it is about creating them. When you declare wealth in the face of lack, you are not lying. You are commanding the truth of your divine right into manifestation. The law does not judge appearances, it obeys your word. You are standing in the midst of a vast invisible warehouse of riches. Every dollar you need, every opportunity you seek, every resource you desire, is already present in substance, waiting for your command to take visible form. But it will not move on your behalf until you decree it so. This is not theory, this is law. The law of supply waits on no man's effort, but it responds to every man's word. Will you stand in your authority and speak what is already yours by divine right? Will you command the invisible to reveal its treasures? For the truth is, the riches of heaven are not delayed by time or circumstance. They are delayed only by your silence. And the moment you speak, the universe begins to move, with a precision that no earthly force can hinder. But now comes the question that will determine your harvest. Are you speaking words of wealth, or are you unknowingly sowing seeds of lack? This brings us to the next secret that few dare to examine: poverty words versus prosperity words, and the hidden ways you might be cursing your abundance without even knowing it. Poverty words versus prosperity words. The difference between them is the difference between a life of struggle and a life of abundance. Yet how many times have you spoken words that sounded harmless, even casual, but in truth were powerful decrees of lack? The universe does not respond to the tone of your voice or the emotions behind your words. It responds to the content of what you declare. Every word you speak is a seed, and every seed will bear fruit, whether you are conscious of it or not. People wonder why their circumstances remain unchanged despite their desires for wealth. They say, "I want more money," but in the next breath they sigh, "I can't afford that," or complain, "Money just slips through my fingers." These are not mere expressions of frustration. These are commands, affirmations of poverty that go forth and return with mathematical precision. The law of the spoken word does not interpret your intention, it executes your declaration. Your words are spells. The question is, are you casting spells of poverty or spells of prosperity? Every time you say, "I'm broke," you are not just reporting a temporary condition, you are sealing it into your reality. Every phrase like, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "I'm always unlucky," reinforces a belief system that the law must fulfill. It is not cruelty, it is the precision of divine law giving you what you boldly affirm. But the moment you awaken to this truth, you gain the power to change your entire life by changing your vocabulary. Begin to listen to yourself, catch every word of limitation, every phrase of lack, and reverse it immediately. Transform "I can't afford this" into "Money comes to me in expected and unexpected ways." Replace "I never have enough" with "I am now open to receiving my divine supply." These are not empty affirmations, these are keys that unlock doors in the invisible realm. It is not enough to think prosperity, you must speak it. Thinking plants the seed, but speaking waters it, nurtures it, and gives it life. Your spoken word is the bridge between imagination and manifestation. Silence is not the language of the law, command is. And yet many hesitate to speak words of abundance because their current circumstances seem to contradict them. They feel it is dishonest to say, "I am wealthy," when their bank account is empty. But understand this, the law of life does not respond to appearances, it responds to your word. You are not called to describe your current reality, you are called to declare the reality you choose to experience. When you speak prosperity words, you are not ignoring facts, you are superseding them with truth. You are not denying the presence of a problem, you are affirming the presence of a solution. The invisible realm is more powerful than the visible, and it is governed by your spoken word. But beware of the words you speak about others too. Every word you utter, whether about yourself or someone else, returns to you multiplied. When you speak ill of another's finances, you set into motion a boomerang that must return. Conversely, when you bless others with words of success and abundance, you create a divine circulation that elevates you as well. Are you in the habit of criticizing the wealthy, making remarks like, "They don't deserve that money," or "It's impossible to get rich without being dishonest"? These are poverty spells disguised as opinions, and they will shut the doors of your own prosperity. The law does not distinguish between jest and seriousness, it fulfills what is spoken. The practice of prosperity begins with mastering your language. Begin today to observe your words with vigilance. Turn every complaint into a declaration of blessing. Transform every word of worry into a word of wealth. You will be amazed how swiftly your outer world rearranges itself to reflect the new seeds you have sown. You are the architect, the sower, the speaker of your destiny, and as you purify your speech, you purify your harvest. But now comes the deeper truth that few dare to believe. Wealth is your divine right, and though it cannot be delayed by outside forces, you alone can block it with your doubt. The invisible substance is ever ready to flow, but are you prepared to remove the dam of disbelief and let it flood into your life? The universe has no shortage, only channels. And you, dear one, are one of its chosen channels. The riches you seek are not in the distant future, nor are they hidden from you by circumstance or fate. They exist now in the invisible, waiting to flow into your life the moment you align your word with divine right. But here is the question you must ask yourself. Are you allowing the flow, or are you blocking it with doubt? Every time you declare your faith in supply, you open a gate. You widen the channel through which abundance rushes toward you. But when you speak words of fear, when you say, "I can't afford that," or "money is hard to come by," you are not merely expressing a feeling, you are setting up barriers. You are building walls with your words, walls that keep out the very things you desire. The law of supply is immediate, perfect, and overflowing, but it is obedient. It responds not to your wishes but to your word. You may wonder why, despite working hard, the flow still seems delayed. It is not because the universe is slow. It is not because the blessings have been withheld. It is because doubt has been entertained. Doubt is the only dam that can hold back the tide of divine supply, and doubt often sneaks in, disguised as logic, as caution, as so-called realism. You think you are being wise when you limit your expectations, but you are merely reducing the size of your channel. The spoken word, charged with faith, removes every block. When you affirm, "There is no delay in divine mind. My supply is instant and overflowing," you are not begging for a miracle. You are aligning with the truth of your being. You are clearing the way for what has always been yours by right of consciousness. But the universe cannot force its riches upon a channel that is choked with words of fear. You must understand, the law does not withhold, it reflects. If you speak limitation, it mirrors limitation. If you declare abundance, it amplifies abundance. The delay is never in the supply, it is always in the acceptance. And acceptance is revealed by the words you dare to speak aloud. How many times have you prayed for prosperity, but then spoken words of lack in the same breath? How many times have you visualized wealth, only to cancel it with a casual complaint about money? The universe takes you at your word. It does not judge your worthiness, it fulfills your decree. You are the king or queen of your kingdom, and your word is law within it. Doubt feels harmless when spoken lightly, but it is a thief that robs you of immediate manifestation. It is not enough to think positively in silence. You must speak your word boldly, clearly, and repeatedly. For words spoken aloud are like hammers that break down walls, like keys that unlock gates, like rivers that carve new paths. Every spoken declaration of faith chips away at the dam of doubt until the floodgates swing open. But here lies the beauty. The moment you remove doubt, the supply does not trickle, it rushes. It does not arrive slowly. It floods in with divine precision. The universe is quick to fill every vacuum. The very instant you make space with your unwavering word, the riches pour in. For they were always pressing upon you, waiting for the moment you became ready to receive. Your readiness is not measured by how hard you work, but by how boldly you speak. Are you ready to declare, "Money comes to me now, under grace in perfect ways"? Are you prepared to affirm, "Nothing can stop the divine plan of my wealth"? These are not empty phrases. They are spiritual commands that move unseen forces into visible action. And so the question arises, how are you using your spoken word today? Is it a tool for creating, or a weapon of delay? The universe waits on your decision, but it moves instantly once your word is spoken in faith. There is no force of opposition, no external barrier, that can withstand the power of your unwavering decree. For every word you speak is building the next chapter of your financial life. You are either widening the channel or narrowing it with each sentence you utter. So I ask you, will you continue to declare your delays, or will you now claim your wealth by divine right, knowing that nothing and no one can block what you have courageously spoken into being? As you realize this truth, you become aware that your word does not operate in isolation. It echoes into the world and returns multiplied. And this leads you to an even greater understanding. The words you speak about others, the blessings or criticisms you declare upon them, are boomerangs that shape your own fortune. The law of the spoken word is a boomerang. Every word you send out travels in a perfect arc, circling back to you with greater force. Most people believe they are merely speaking about life, unaware that life is only echoing back what they have decreed. When you speak of lack, not only are you affirming your own poverty, but you are multiplying it into the universe, and that vibration must return to its sender. The game of life does not play favorites. It responds to the tone of your words with exact precision. You cannot wish for wealth while cursing the prosperity of another. Every word you release is a seed, and the soil of the universe is always fertile. When you bless others, when you rejoice in their success, you are setting into motion the law of circulation. The wealth you celebrate for them cannot help but make its way back to you. This is not a moral sentiment. It is a spiritual law. Many people unknowingly trap themselves in a cycle of scarcity because they resent the riches of others. They see someone succeed, and instead of blessing them, they criticize, they judge, they shrink in envy. Yet in doing so, they have just spoken words that will boomerang back, closing doors they did not know they had opened. It is impossible to desire wealth and criticize it at the same time. The subconscious does not understand contradictions. If you declare, "I am wealthy," but secretly believe wealth is corrupt or undeserved, the universe must obey your dominant vibration. Words spoken with conviction are commands. Casual murmurs of envy are commands too. The law does not judge the tone. It only executes the decree. But here lies the beautiful key. The moment you choose to bless, to uplift, to declare riches for another, you are blessing your own path. When you speak favor over someone's success, you have just signed your own divine contract of increase. Every time you say, "I am so happy for their abundance," the universe hears, "Prepare their abundance too." You cannot bless without being blessed. The law has no loopholes. This truth is why I urge you to guard your conversations with spiritual vigilance. When a friend shares their financial victory, resist the impulse of comparison. Instead, declare in your heart, "Divine riches flow to me as easily and effortlessly as it flows to them." When you hear of someone's promotion, affirm, "Their success is a sign of mine unfolding now." Each of these spoken blessings is a boomerang that returns, not in the same measure, but multiplied, pressed down and overflowing. But do not stop there. Begin to speak prosperity over those who are struggling. Call forth abundance for the person you see in lack. When you declare wealth for another, especially in their absence, you are exercising spiritual mastery. The law of circulation does not delay. It moves instantly upon the spoken word, searching for the quickest route to deliver back to you what you have declared for another. This is why the ancient scriptures teach, "Bless those who curse you," because blessing another is not for their sake alone, it is for the purification of your own stream of supply. Words of judgment pollute it. Words of blessing cleanse it. Each word you utter becomes a seed that decides the harvest you will soon meet. And so you must understand that your spoken word is not just a tool for your personal manifestation, it is a force that shapes the entire field around you. What you release into the field of others, you are simultaneously planting into your own. Every declaration of abundance spoken over a friend, a stranger, or even one you have deemed an adversary, is wealth multiplied and set on a return path to you. As you embrace this divine principle, you will begin to see a shift. Your words will no longer be casual expressions, they will become intentional instruments of creation. You will realize that each spoken blessing is a silent transaction with the universe, a deposit into the account of your own divine supply. And as you continue to speak words of increase, not just for yourself but for all, you will notice the invisible doors begin to swing open. The law of circulation will no longer be an abstract concept, but a living, breathing force in your life, moving swiftly upon every word you release. What you declare for others, you multiply for yourself. The boomerang has no bias, it only knows how to return. And with this truth anchored in your heart, you will now be ready to prepare for the immediate manifestation of what you just spoke, for the universe does not hesitate when you align your word with your faith. Most people speak of desires, but aren't prepared to receive them. They affirm abundance, yet their inner heart trembles with questions. How will it come? When will it arrive? Am I truly worthy of it? They speak words of prosperity in the morning and by afternoon. They cancel them out with doubt and worry. The truth is, manifestation is not delayed because the universe is slow. It is delayed because the channel is not yet fully open. And what is that channel? Readiness. A readiness to receive, a readiness to believe, a readiness to stand still and know that it is already done. When you say, "I now receive unexpected money under grace," do you feel a tightening in your chest? That is the part of you that is unprepared. The law can bring the money today, but can you accept it with joy, without question, without fear of losing it? This is why so many people sabotage their own manifestations. They ask, but they do not prepare. They knock, but their house is not swept clean to welcome the guest. Preparation is not about physical arrangements, it is a spiritual alignment. To prepare is to act as if it is impossible to fail. When you speak the word for wealth, you must live that day as if the wealth is already present in your atmosphere. The vibration must be consistent. You cannot affirm riches and then live with a consciousness of poverty. The two cannot occupy the same space. Are you prepared to receive what you just spoke? Are your thoughts prepared to hold the image of wealth without dissolving into old patterns of fear? Are your emotions prepared to rejoice, or do they default to anxiety the moment you see no outer sign? Manifestation is not about waiting for the universe to act, it is about preparing your entire being to receive what is already on its way. When you declare large sums of money come to me quickly and easily, you are not issuing a wish, you are issuing a command. But a command must be followed by preparation. If a king issues a royal decree for a banquet, yet the palace halls remain dusty and unlit, who will believe in the feast? The banquet of your abundance is waiting, but you must set the table. You must light the candles of faith and decorate your inner halls with expectancy. The invisible responds not to begging but to readiness. The law is precise. It does not send gifts to an address that doubts its own existence. Your spoken word unlocks the gate, but your readiness swings it open. There is no partial blessing in divine law. The moment you prepare to receive fully, you will receive fully. The law does not wait on circumstances, it waits on your alignment. And now, you must ask yourself, am I aligned with what I spoke this morning, or have I drifted back into the old vibration by noon? It is not enough to speak once and forget. The spoken word is a living seed, and like any seed, it requires nurturing. Every thought of faith waters it. Every moment of doubt dries it. The more you prepare, internally, emotionally, spiritually, the faster you become the channel through which riches must flow. But this preparation is not hard labor, it is a joyous, expectant state. You do not prepare with worry, you prepare with celebration. You act as though the gift has already been dispatched, and you are merely arranging the beauty of its arrival. This is why faith is called the substance of things hoped for. It is not blind, it sees the unseen, and prepares a place for it to manifest. When you master this readiness, manifestation becomes immediate. You will no longer speak words that return void. You will no longer send out affirmations that circle endlessly in the void. Instead, every word you speak will land, because you have become the fertile ground. You have become the receiver, the open channel, the prepared vessel, and now the question arises, if your word can manifest instantly, what is faster, effort or declaration? For years you have been taught to hustle, to strive, to labor for every drop of abundance, but the law of the spoken word teaches you a higher way. A single word spoken in unwavering faith outruns years of struggle. It aligns with the invisible substance that is ever ready to take form. The world says work harder, the divine says speak clearer. The world says effort brings reward, the divine says your word is the reward. So as you go forward, will you trust the hustle, or will you trust the power of your own voice? Will you spend another year chasing what your spoken word can manifest in a moment? The answer is not found in effort, it is found in the stillness of your decree. The moment you speak with readiness, the law of supply begins to shape your reality in ways your efforts never could. You have been told that success comes only through relentless effort, that to manifest riches you must toil, grind, and outwork everyone else. But the spiritual law I bring you today whispers a different truth. The spoken word outruns effort. The power of your declaration can achieve what years of striving cannot. Words are not mere sounds. They are invisible forces that shape substance, faster than your hands can build, faster than your feet can run. You speak and the universe responds. It does not hesitate. It does not argue. It obeys. When you declare money comes to me now, under grace, you are issuing a spiritual command. The law of divine supply hears you and it begins arranging people, circumstances, and opportunities in ways your logical mind could never predict. It does not require your labor, it requires your word. Effort is limited by time, energy, and physical strength, but the word you speak travels beyond dimensions, rearranging situations, making a way where there seemed to be none. Many have exhausted themselves in the race for riches, believing that hard work is the only bridge to prosperity. But the bridge already exists in the invisible. The word is the path. Your spoken word is not limited by distance, education, or even the odds. It cuts through barriers that physical effort cannot penetrate. But how often do you misuse this divine tool? How often do you say, I can't afford this, or money is hard to come by, without realizing that your words are sealing your own limitations? You must understand that the spoken word does not just describe your reality, it dictates it. Every time you affirm lack, the law says, as you wish. Every time you declare abundance, the law responds, it is done unto you. Words are faster than actions because they go to the root. the invisible blueprint where your life is designed. Physical effort deals with the seen, but the word alters the unseen, which then manifests as your reality. If you wish to see rapid transformation, you must shift from efforting to declaring. Speak of wealth as if it already exists. Say, my supply is unlimited. Money flows to me easily and continuously. And watch as opportunities begin to unfold. Not because you chased them, but because you called them forth. You will find that what seemed impossible by effort becomes effortless by word. But this is not to say that action is irrelevant. Action becomes powerful when it follows the word. First you speak, you command. Then inspired action will naturally follow, aligned with divine timing. You will not struggle or force. You will simply step into the doors that open, knowing you have spoken them into existence. The law will bring the right ideas, the right contacts, the right moments. Your role is to stay vigilant with your words, for they are the seeds of all manifestation. Do not allow idle words to sabotage your abundance. Every complaint, every doubt spoken aloud, sends out a boomerang that must return. Speak with the authority of one who knows that the universe is obedient to your voice. Declare what you desire, not what you fear. There is no virtue in describing your problems over and over. The law does not need a report on your struggles. It needs a command for your triumph. Remember, the universe listens to the one who speaks with faith, not the one who begs with fear. When you affirm, I am a magnet for divine wealth, the law begins to operate beyond what your senses can perceive. Money, clients, opportunities, and unexpected channels begin to stir. You may not see the evidence immediately, but the spiritual machinery is already working. Doubt delays it, faith accelerates it. So I ask you now, what are you speaking into your life today? Are you declaring lack and wondering why it persists? Or will you rise and declare, riches are mine by divine right, every word I speak prospers me? The choice is always in your mouth. The spoken word that unlocks riches is not a secret reserved for the few. It is a divine gift given to all, waiting to be used with wisdom, boldness, and unwavering faith. And now, as you stand at the threshold of a new understanding, let this truth settle into your spirit. The wealth you seek is not far, not hidden, not withheld. It has been circling you, waiting patiently for your word to summon it. You are not at the mercy of chance, nor are you a victim of circumstances. You are the master of your fate, and your spoken word is the key that turns the lock. Every declaration you make, every affirmation you choose, is a stroke of creation upon the canvas of your life. You do not have to wait until you feel ready. You do not need to see evidence before you speak abundance. That is not how the law works. The law moves when you move your word. You are a channel through which the invisible becomes visible, and that process begins with the courage to speak what you desire, as though it already is. There is no power in speaking of delays, debts, or fears. The power lies in speaking life, speaking prosperity, speaking freedom. The riches of the universe respond to conviction, not to hesitation. When you declare, I am aligned with divine wealth, the universe sets forth a chain of events, unseen but unstoppable. You don't have to figure out the how. You only need to remain steadfast in your word, knowing that your declaration has already been established in the invisible, and it is now rushing toward you. Many will hear these words and nod in agreement, but few will dare to speak boldly enough to see the transformation. The question is, will you be among the few who realize that your fortune lies within your next sentence? Will you discipline your tongue to be a vessel of faith, not fear? Will you choose to command abundance, instead of complaining about lack? Speak with authority, speak with joy, speak with the confidence of one who knows the divine law never fails. You are not here by accident. You are hearing this now because you are ready to step into a higher realm of manifestation. The universe has been waiting for you to awaken to your power, and now it listens attentively to your next word. So speak it now. I am rich in mind, rich in faith, rich in supply. Every word I speak unlocks the treasures prepared for me by divine right. Feel the shift as you say it. Feel the invisible doors swing open. Your word is the trigger, the activator, the master key to a life of overflowing abundance. And as you speak, the law is already fulfilling. The game of life is not won by effort alone, but by the one who understands the creative power of the spoken word. Today you have remembered what your soul always knew. You are the speaker, the decreer, the manifester of your own riches.
What if the biggest obstacle standing between you and your financial breakthrough wasn't your debt, your income, or the economy? What if the block was something you do every single day, almost without thinking? What if it was your worry? What if every anxious glance at your bank account, every whispered prayer of, "I hope there's enough," was actually a command, a sacred blueprint being handed to a universe that can only build what you show it? You have been, with divine precision, commanding your world to give you more reasons to worry. By the end of this video, you will hold these 3 master keys. You will understand how to stop accidentally building a prison of lack and begin consciously commanding the reality of your divine overflow. You will remember the language your soul already knows, the language that speaks your desired world into being. Stay with me, because your financial reclamation begins now. The great spiritual teacher Florence Scovel Shinn revealed one of the most direct and unforgiving laws of the universe. Your inner world is the cause, and your outer world is the effect. This is not a metaphor. It is a divine mechanic. Imagine that deep within you, in your subconscious mind, lives the most faithful and powerful servant in existence. Let's call this servant the Master Builder. This builder does not argue with you, it does not judge your desires, and it never, ever questions if you are worthy. Its only job is to take the blueprint you provide and build your physical reality to its exact specifications, day and night, without rest. The blueprint is made of your most dominant, deeply felt beliefs and words. For years, perhaps for a lifetime, you have been unknowingly handing the master builder a blueprint etched with the architecture of fear. A floor plan of "it's going to be a struggle." A design feature of "I never have enough." A foundation of "money is hard to come by." You may have even handed it contradictory plans, declaring with your mouth, "I want to be wealthy," while the deep feeling in your heart was broadcasting a signal of, "I'm terrified of not having enough." The builder, faced with these conflicting instructions, does its best. It builds you a life of inconsistency, a little bit of income, followed by a lot of unexpected expenses, a moment of hope, followed by a month of struggle. It builds chaos because it has been given a chaotic design. And your master builder, in its perfect impersonal love, has built you a life that perfectly matches that dominant, fearful design. You have experienced struggle. You have felt the constriction of not enough. You have found that money is indeed hard to come by. Listen closely, beloved, for here is the truth that will set you free. This is not a punishment. It is not bad luck. It is proof of your immense, unwavering power. You have been a magnificent creator your entire life. You have never once failed at this. You have been succeeding with breathtaking accuracy at creating a life that perfectly reflects your inner instructions. The power has been in your mouth and in your heart this whole time. Today, you are not learning a new power. You are not trying to acquire something you don't have. You are simply learning how to hand over a new blueprint, a clear, consistent, and divinely inspired design for a life of ease, freedom, and overflow. We will now do this with 3 sacred phrases that will cleanse the old design and establish the new one, giving your builder the clear and beautiful instructions it has been waiting for. So let us begin with the first and perhaps most liberating phrase of all. This is the key that unlocks the cage from the inside. Before you can build a beautiful new palace, you must clear the rubble of the old, condemned structure. You cannot simply layer positive affirmations on top of a lifetime of deeply held beliefs in lack and expect a lasting change. You must first decide, with divine authority, that you are no longer available for the reality the old beliefs created. The first sacred phrase is your tool for this sacred demolition. It is the phrase that dissolves the energetic ties to a past that no longer serves you. The first sacred phrase is, "I release the old story." The old story is the library of limitation within your soul. the collection of memories, inherited beliefs, and painful experiences that have formed the very fabric of your reality of lack. The old story is the memory of your parents arguing about money late at night, a sound that taught your young and impressionable heart that money is a source of conflict and pain. It's the sharp, metallic sting of a past business failure that left an invisible scar on your soul, a scar that whispers, "You're not smart enough to handle great wealth, don't even try." It's the subtle, inherited belief from your grandmother, a woman you loved dearly, that good spiritual people are humble and poor, a belief that now causes you to subconsciously sabotage any significant financial gain to remain spiritual. The old story is the narrative you repeat to your friends over coffee, the familiar and almost comfortable tale of how you're always broke before payday, a story that gets you sympathy but reinforces your prison. It's the silent anxiety you feel when you see someone else's success on social media, the twinge of envy that is actually a powerful declaration to the universe that they can have it, but I can't. These stories, whether you speak them aloud or just replay them in the quiet cinema of your own mind, are not just dormant memories. They are living, breathing, energetic commands. Every single time you replay them, every time you give them your attention and your emotional energy, you are walking over to your master builder, handing it that same old coffee-stained, torn blueprint and saying, "Here, build me another day of this, please. I know it's painful, but it's the only design I know." But the moment you declare, "I release the old story," something miraculous begins to happen in the invisible realm. You are not fighting the story. You are not pretending it didn't happen. That would be futile. You are simply and powerfully withdrawing your divine energy from it. You are pulling the plug. You are taking the old blueprint out of the builder's hands and placing it gently into a sacred fire, watching it curl into ash and disappear into the nothingness from which it came. I know what the logical part of your mind might be saying right now. It is a clever and persistent voice. It might be whispering, "But it's true. I really did go through that bankruptcy. It's a fact. How can I release something that is a fact of my history?" This is a critical spiritual distinction you must now make. You are not releasing the historical fact that it happened. You are releasing its power to keep happening. You are demoting it. You are shifting it from its current role as a living prophecy that dictates your future to a new, powerless role as a closed chapter in your biography. It is an event that you learned from, but it is no longer the lens through which you view your entire financial world. Here is your first sacred task. This is how you begin to practice this divine release. The next time you feel the familiar pang of a negative money memory, when you catch yourself about to tell that same old tale of struggle to your partner or a friend, I want you to pause. This pause is everything. In this sacred space, you reclaim your power. Take a loving breath and speak this truth, either aloud if you are alone or in the quiet sanctuary of your own heart. Instead of spiraling into shame over a past debt, you will feel the feeling, acknowledge it, and then gently say, "That was a lesson. It is over. I release the old story." Instead of reinforcing your family's belief in perpetual struggle when you talk to your mother, you will listen with love, but internally you will affirm, "That was their journey, and I honor it, but it is not mine. I release the old story." Instead of complaining to a friend about the high price of a bill, you pause before you speak, and inside your mind you declare, "This feeling of panic is a ghost from the past. It has no substance. I release the old story." This phrase is an act of supreme self-love. It is you, the master of your inner kingdom, deciding that you will no longer allow the ghosts of your past to design the palace of your future. When you do this consistently, you create a sacred emptiness, a clean slate, a polished and perfect inner mold. You are sending a clear message to your master builder. The old construction site has been cleared. Prepare for a magnificent new design. Now that the foundation has been cleansed of the old rubble, you must step into your rightful position as the divine architect. For too long, you may have lived under the powerful hypnosis of victimhood, believing you are at the mercy of your boss, the stock market, the government, or your circumstances. The language of this hypnosis is subtle and pervasive. It sounds like, "This just keeps happening to me," or "I have no choice but to take this low-paying job," or "With this economy, it's impossible to get ahead." These are the phrases of a spiritual prisoner, and they voluntarily hand your God-given power over to the shadows of the outer world. This second phrase shatters that hypnosis completely. It is the declaration of your spiritual sovereignty. It is you taking the divine pen and drawing the new blueprint with a firm and loving hand. It is you remembering that you are not a character reacting to the plot of your life, but its divine author. The second sacred phrase is, "I command my world to align." Now, let us be very clear, because this is where many people stumble. That word, command, can feel uncomfortable, even arrogant at first. Your ego, which has been trained for years in the dialects of powerlessness and limitation, might immediately whisper, "Who are you to command anything? That's prideful. That's egotistical." You must understand, this is not a command coming from the small, fearful human ego that wants to control people and situations. That would be futile and draining. This is a command issued from the Christ within, from your own divine I Am presence, the center of God consciousness at the core of your being. It is a declaration of your alignment with a higher spiritual law. It is a statement of truth that overrides the appearances of fact. Think of a police officer standing in the middle of a busy intersection. She may be physically smaller and weaker than the drivers in the massive trucks that approach, but when she raises her hand, those trucks stop. Why? Is it because of her personal physical strength? No. It is because she is not acting in her own personal power. She is wearing the uniform and carrying the badge of a larger authority. Her command is backed by the entire power of the law she represents. In the very same way, when you speak this phrase, you are not being arrogant. You are metaphorically putting on the uniform of your divine nature. You are standing in your spiritual authority as a representative of the kingdom of God within, and commanding your outer world of effects to come into alignment with the divine, unchangeable law of abundance. The law of the universe states that you are a child of an infinitely wealthy source, and your divine inheritance is limitless good, limitless supply, limitless intelligence. Therefore, any situation, circumstance, or condition that appears to the contrary is, by definition, an illusion, a temporary shadow, a manifestation of the old, flawed blueprint you have just released. When you declare, "I command my world to align," you are speaking directly to these appearances, these illusions, and you are reminding them of the unshakable truth. You are taking a spiritual hammer, forged in the fire of your faith, and you are breaking the old hardened mold of poverty and limitation forever. This is how you use this powerful tool in your daily life. This is your second sacred task. When an unexpected bill arrives in the mail and you feel that familiar surge of adrenaline and fear in your chest, I want you to hold that bill in your hand. Look at it not as an enemy, but as an opportunity to practice your power. Take a deep breath to center yourself and declare with quiet, firm authority, "You are an appearance, a shadow cast by an old thought. You have no real power over me. I command my world to align with the unbreakable truth of my infinite supply. This bill is already paid in the mind of God, and so it is." When a client is late on a payment and the voice of worry begins to creep into your mind, whispering tales of disaster, you will close your eyes and affirm, "Delay is a human invention. a shadow in the divine reality of instantaneous supply. It has no power here. I command my world to align with divine timing and perfect provision. The channel is clear, and my good flows to me freely. When you are facing a mountain of debt that seems impossible to climb, a mountain that has been there for years, you will stop seeing it as a permanent feature of your landscape. You will speak directly to that mountain of appearance and say, "In the name of my divine, I am presence, I command you to be removed and dissolved into the nothingness from which you came. I command my world to align with my new reality of financial freedom. Now." This phrase is your spiritual weapon against the army of the aliens, as Florence Scovel Shinn called them, the fearful, doubtful thoughts that rise up from your subconscious to challenge your new state of consciousness. You do not plead with them. You do not negotiate with them. You do not get into an argument with them. You stand in your spiritual poise and you command them to be gone. The feeling behind this command is not anger or desperation. It is a calm, cool, unshakable peace. It is the quiet confidence of the queen upon the throne of her own life, who knows her word is law in her kingdom. When you consistently use this phrase with this feeling of quiet authority, your master builder receives a new, powerful, and unshakable directive. The instructions are no longer fuzzy, contradictory, or fearful. They are clear, sovereign, and filled with the irresistible power of divine law. The builder has no choice but to stop construction on the prison of lack and begin laying the foundation for the palace of your abundance. We have now cleansed the old foundation. We have drawn the new blueprint with divine authority. Now comes the final, most joyful part of our sacred work. This is the phrase that opens the windows of your soul and allows the light of heaven to flood in. It shifts you from the cramped, anxious posture of hoping and waiting into the expansive, magnetic reality of joyful receiving. For years, you have been expertly trained by the world to worry. Worry is simply the misuse of your creative imagination. It is the act of using your powerful faith to expect the worst possible outcome. It is a focused, detailed, and emotionally charged prayer for what you do not want. We must now turn this incredible power around and use it for its divinely intended purpose, to create a life of beauty, joy, and limitless good. The third sacred phrase is, "I expect my good to find me." This phrase is a subtle but profound shift from what you may have practiced before. It is not the same as hoping. Hope is a beautiful starting point, but it often lives in the distant future and carries with it a subtle energy of doubt. "I hope I get the job" implies a strong possibility that you might not. It is a prayer that is still hedging its bets. This is not the same as wanting. Wanting is a powerful statement of lack. To say, "I want more money," is to powerfully affirm to your subconscious mind and to the universe that you do not currently have it. You are focusing on the absence of the thing, which can only create more of that absence. Expecting is an entirely different spiritual posture. Expecting is a state of active, certain faith. It is the energy you feel when you have ordered a package from a trusted online retailer. You don't hope it arrives, you expect it. You don't spend your days worrying if it will show up. You go about your day with the calm certainty that it is on its way to you. You might even clear a space on your shelf for it. That is expectation. It is faith in action. When you declare, "I expect my good to find me," you are generating a powerful magnetic frequency. You are telling the universe, your master builder, and every particle of divine substance in creation that you are a ready and willing recipient. You are no longer broadcasting a signal of desperate need, but a signal of joyful readiness. You have cleared the space. You are preparing for its imminent arrival. Worry is the prayer for chaos. Expectation is the prayer for miracles. This powerful phrase must retrain your spirit to live in a state of joyful anticipation. You must begin to weave it into the very fabric of your day, turning mundane moments into opportunities for magic. This is your third sacred task. Before you open your email in the morning, instead of bracing for problems, I want you to take one breath, smile, and whisper, "I expect my good to find me in this inbox." You are now programming your mind to look for good news, for opportunities, for positive connections. As you walk into the grocery store, instead of immediately tensing up and bracing for the cost, you will walk through the automatic doors with a new affirmation. I expect my good to find me in this store. I expect divine provision, unexpected discounts, perfect abundance, and for everything I need to be easily available to me. Before you go to sleep at night, which is a sacred time for programming the subconscious, instead of replaying the day's worries and anxieties, you will close your eyes and marinate in this beautiful feeling of anticipation. You will affirm, "As I sleep, I expect my good to find me. I expect brilliant ideas, creative solutions, and divine guidance to be revealed to me in my dreams and to be clear to me upon waking." When you practice this consistently, your entire energy field shifts. You become a beacon for your good. The universe, which operates on the law of correspondence, must bring you circumstances, people, and resources that perfectly match your new dominant expectation. It can no longer bring you a steady stream of reasons to worry because you are no longer broadcasting the frequency of worry. You are broadcasting the irresistible, high-frequency signal of joyful, certain faith. And you will be astonished at what happens. Divine opportunities will begin to appear as if from nowhere. The perfect idea that could transform your career will drop into your mind while you are washing the dishes. A check will arrive in the mail from a long-forgotten source. A person will call you with the exact solution to a problem you've been wrestling with for months. Do not call this luck. Do not call it coincidence. Know it for what it is. This is law. It is your own good, which has been waiting patiently in the wings for you all along, finally finding an open door, a clear signal, and a joyful, welcoming path directly to your side. So, here is your sacred practice. For the next 7 days, I want you to hold these 3 phrases like precious jewels in your heart and on your lips. They are your new tools of creation. Let's review them one more time. The first phrase, "I release the old story," is your tool to cleanse the past and clear the foundation. The second phrase, "I command my world to align," is your tool to shape the present moment and declare the truth. And the third phrase, "I expect my good to find me," is your tool to magnetize your beautiful future. I invite you to enter into a sacred experiment with me, with yourself, and with the universe. For the next week, whenever you feel that old, familiar grip of financial fear, that tightening in your chest, that racing of your mind into worst-case scenarios, I want you to perform what I call the sacred pause. Stop what you are doing. If you can, place a hand over your heart to physically reconnect with your divine center. Take one slow, deep breath, breathing in peace and breathing out the old energy. And then, gently, lovingly, without judgment, choose the phrase that your soul needs most in that moment. If the fear is rooted in a past memory, whisper, "I release the old story." If the fear is about a current circumstance that seems overwhelming, stand tall and affirm, "I command my world to align." If the fear is a general anxiety about the future, soften your body and smile as you declare, "I expect my good to find me." Do not force it. Do not fight your fear, for what you resist persists. Simply introduce this new, higher vibration into your consciousness. The old noise of lack will fade, not because you battled it into submission, but because you lovingly and consistently chose to tune your inner radio to a different, more beautiful station. The law is not activated by your perfection. It is activated by your participation. You don't have to believe it 100% at first. Your sincere willingness to try is enough to begin the shift. You are not trying to create something from nothing. You are simply remembering the truth of who you are and allowing the infinite good that is already yours by divine right to finally flow into your visible experience. The universe is listening. Your master builder is standing by, holding a fresh trowel, eager and ready, waiting for its new instructions. What new blueprint will you give it today? Let this very moment be your first powerful, conscious act of creating a new financial reality. Go to the space below this video and make your choice known. Declare to yourself, to this community, and to the divine intelligence of the universe, my financial story is rewritten now. And after you have made your declaration, I invite you to bookmark this video. Make a commitment to return here in a day or in a week and share one small shift, one tiny miracle. Share a moment you caught yourself in the old story and successfully released it. Share an unexpected discount you received, a coin you found on the street, a check that arrived in the mail, or even just a profound and lasting feeling of peace where anxiety used to live. Your testimony will not just solidify your own faith, it will become a beacon of possibility, a spark of hope for someone else who is just beginning their journey and needs to see that this divine law is real and it works. The old blueprint is finished. The pen is in your hand. The ink is your voice. Now speak.
Every morning is a new doorway to the unseen riches of life. As the first light spills across the earth, it carries with it the quiet assurance that all good is flowing toward you in this very moment. The mind, when tuned to expectancy, becomes a magnet for the blessings already moving in your direction. You need not chase, strain, or wonder. Every step is ordered, every answer already prepared. The invisible current of divine supply is steady, certain, and unfailing, and it flows toward you as naturally as the river runs to the sea. When you open your eyes each day, you stand at the threshold of fresh miracles. The world may call it coincidence, luck, or chance, but the soul knows it as perfect order. All that belongs to you, peace, joy, abundance, health, love, comes to you without effort when you walk in fearless faith. There is no need to question how or when. The seed has already been planted, and the harvest is inevitable. You are simply called to welcome it. Once every morning, you receive the full gift of today. Yesterday has gone to rest, and tomorrow is still a dream. But today is a living, breathing treasure chest, brimming with opportunities, answers, and blessings dressed in the garments of the present moment. When you awaken with the certainty that all is given, the day rises up to meet you with open arms. You will find the right doors swinging wide, the right words coming at the right time, the right people crossing your path as if led by unseen hands. To live in this consciousness is to dwell in abundance now, not in a distant future, but here in the warmth of this morning. Every desire that is pure, every vision that is good, is not a distant hope but a present reality taking shape before your eyes. The only work is to keep your heart open and your thoughts clear, free from doubt and fear. For doubt delays, but faith draws near. Imagine each morning as a golden messenger, carrying to your doorstep the exact blessings you have been preparing your soul to receive. These blessings may not always appear in the wrapping you expected, but they are perfect for you in every detail. They may come as a sudden inspiration, a quiet knowing, a chance meeting, or a long-awaited answer. And when you recognize them, you realize they were on their way long before you even asked. The morning does not demand anything from you but trust. Trust that the great storehouse of the universe has no lack, no delay, no error. Trust that life is not against you but for you. Trust that everything is come to me today is not wishful thinking, but the natural law of a mind aligned with its highest truth. You are not begging for scraps, you are receiving your rightful portion. The morning is the silent architect of the entire day, shaping the tone, rhythm, and quality of every experience that follows. From the moment your eyes open, you are stepping into an unseen field of possibility, one that is sensitive to your first thoughts, first feelings, and first words. These initial moments are far more powerful than many realize, for they act as a spiritual tuning fork, aligning you with the vibrations of what you will attract. If you rise with heaviness, resentment, or doubt, the day bends itself toward those energies. If you rise with expectancy, gratitude, and trust, the day responds in kind. Morning is not simply the start of hours. It is the birth of a new energetic current. In that quiet space between dreams and waking, the soul is still uncluttered by the noise of the world, still tender to the whispers of higher guidance. It is in this softness that your receptivity to blessings is at its highest. When you open the day in awareness that good is already flowing toward you, your mind begins to search for evidence of it, and whatever the mind seeks, it finds. This is not forced optimism, but a deliberate spiritual practice. The morning is when you write the script, and the rest of the day acts it out. In the hush before the demands begin, you hold the power to declare what you will meet, not by demanding it from life, but by quietly affirming its presence. The words you speak over your morning are like seeds, invisible yet potent, destined to sprout into the conditions you will encounter. To say, "This is a blessed day," is not a hope, but a statement of fact that sets the unseen in motion. The world around you may have its noise, but the inner world you choose in the morning becomes the true environment in which you live. When your first act is to align with gratitude, you are stepping into harmony with the natural law that like attracts like. Gratitude in the morning primes the. Every morning is a new doorway to the unseen riches of life. As the first light spills across the earth, it carries with it the quiet assurance that all good is flowing toward you in this very moment. The mind, when tuned to expectancy, becomes a magnet for the blessings already moving in your direction. You need not chase, strain, or wonder. Every step is ordered, every answer already prepared. The invisible current of divine supply is steady, certain, and unfailing, and it flows toward you as naturally as the river runs to the sea. When you open your eyes each day, you stand at the threshold of fresh miracles. The world may call it coincidence, luck, or chance, but the soul knows it as perfect order. All that belongs to you, peace, joy, abundance, health, love, comes to you without effort when you walk in fearless faith. There is no need to question how or when. The seed has already been planted, and the harvest is inevitable. You are simply called to welcome it. Once every morning, you receive the full gift of today. Yesterday has gone to rest, and tomorrow is still a dream. But today is a living, breathing treasure chest, brimming with opportunities, answers, and blessings dressed in the garments of the present moment. When you awaken with the certainty that all is given, the day rises up to meet you with open arms. You will find the right doors swinging wide, the right words coming at the right time, the right people crossing your path as if led by unseen hands. To live in this consciousness is to dwell in abundance now, not in a distant future, but here in the warmth of this morning. Every desire that is pure, every vision that is good, is not a distant hope but a present reality taking shape before your eyes. The only work is to keep your heart open and your thoughts clear, free from doubt and fear. For doubt delays, but faith draws near. Imagine each morning as a golden messenger, carrying to your doorstep the exact blessings you have been preparing your soul to receive. These blessings may not always appear in the wrapping you expected, but they are perfect for you in every detail. They may come as a sudden inspiration, a quiet knowing, a chance meeting, or a long-awaited answer. And when you recognize them, you realize they were on their way long before you even asked. The morning does not demand anything from you but trust. Trust that the great storehouse of the universe has no lack, no delay, no error. Trust that life is not against you but for you. Trust that everything is come to me today is not wishful thinking, but the natural law of a mind aligned with its highest truth. You are not begging for scraps, you are receiving your rightful portion. The morning is the silent architect of the entire day, shaping the tone, rhythm, and quality of every experience that follows. From the moment your eyes open, you are stepping into an unseen field of possibility, one that is sensitive to your first thoughts, first feelings, and first words. These initial moments are far more powerful than many realize, for they act as a spiritual tuning fork, aligning you with the vibrations of what you will attract. If you rise with heaviness, resentment, or doubt, the day bends itself toward those energies. If you rise with expectancy, gratitude, and trust, the day responds in kind. Morning is not simply the start of hours. It is the birth of a new energetic current. In that quiet space between dreams and waking, the soul is still uncluttered by the noise of the world, still tender to the whispers of higher guidance. It is in this softness that your receptivity to blessings is at its highest. When you open the day in awareness that good is already flowing toward you, your mind begins to search for evidence of it, and whatever the mind seeks, it finds. This is not forced optimism, but a deliberate spiritual practice. The morning is when you write the script, and the rest of the day acts it out. In the hush before the demands begin, you hold the power to declare what you will meet, not by demanding it from life, but by quietly affirming its presence. The words you speak over your morning are like seeds, invisible yet potent, destined to sprout into the conditions you will encounter. To say, "This is a blessed day," is not a hope, but a statement of fact that sets the unseen in motion. The world around you may have its noise, but the inner world you choose in the morning becomes the true environment in which you live. When your first act is to align with gratitude, you are stepping into harmony with the natural law that like attracts like. Gratitude in the morning primes the mind to see blessings already present, which multiplies them. It is not the external circumstances that decide the tone of your day, it is the inner posture you adopt at dawn. You could wake into a house full of challenges, yet with a morning consciousness anchored in expectancy. Those challenges become opportunities for solutions to reveal themselves. The tone you set early acts like a guiding compass, quietly redirecting you back to trust even if the hours ahead bring temporary storms. Many believe that blessings come sporadically, like rare gifts tossed down from the sky, but the truth is they flow constantly. The difference lies in whether you are tuned to receive them. Morning is the time to adjust that frequency. Just as a radio must be set to the right channel to hear music, the mind must be tuned to the awareness of abundance to notice it. This is why the first hour is so sacred. It is easier to align yourself when the day is unformed than to wrestle it into harmony after chaos has set in. The first light itself carries symbolic weight, darkness giving way to illumination, uncertainty replaced by clarity. When you align with this natural order, you move with its current instead of against it. Even the smallest morning rituals, if carried out with intention, can open the gate for blessings to flow. A quiet cup of tea sipped in gratitude, a few minutes of stillness to breathe and listen, a spoken affirmation declaring that good is on its way. These are not idle habits but conscious acts of creation. They remind the mind that today is not random but divinely ordered. They tell the soul, "I am ready, I am willing, I am open." When you set this tone, you become a living invitation for blessings to enter, not because you have earned them, but because you have made space for them. It is important to remember that the morning does not demand perfection from you. It does not require that you wake up bursting with joy every day. Some mornings may feel heavy, yet the choice to reach for even one thought of gratitude, one breath of trust, can begin to shift the atmosphere. The tone is not about forced cheerfulness, it is about deliberate alignment. Even in weariness, you can declare that blessings are coming, and that this day will be shaped by unseen good. That choice alone changes the trajectory of the hours ahead. When you rise and consciously choose the tone, you are also shaping how you will meet others. A morning grounded in expectancy radiates outward, affecting the way you speak, the patience you extend, the openness you hold. People are drawn to those who carry a lightness about them, and often without realizing it, they respond in ways that mirror your inner state. This, too, is part of receiving blessings. Sometimes they arrive through the kindness and cooperation of others, who are influenced by the tone you set in yourself first thing in the morning. Nature itself demonstrates the power of a fresh beginning. The dew on the grass, the stillness in the air, the slow unveiling of light, all speak of renewal and readiness. To step into the morning with closed eyes to these signs is to miss the whisper that everything you need is already moving toward you. But when you choose to see, when you choose to listen, the smallest details become confirmations of the greater truth. The day is on your side. You do not need to chase blessings, they are already walking toward you with sure and steady steps. Faith is the invisible current that draws all good to you without effort. It is not the desperate grasping of one who fears lack, but the quiet certainty of one who knows their good is already prepared and on its way. Faith is the substance that bridges the unseen with the seen, the inner vision with its outer manifestation. It is the unshakable inner posture that says, "What I need will find me," even when the senses offer no proof. When faith is present, struggle loses its grip, because there is no sense of having to force life to give what it has already offered. This is the effortless drawing power, the magnetic quality, that faith possesses. To live in faith is to stand rooted in the unseen reality that your desires, when aligned with your highest good, already exist in the storehouse of the universe. You are not pleading for them to be created, you are simply preparing to receive them. Just as a seed rests in the soil, trusting the invisible processes that will bring forth its bloom, you rest in the knowing that the fulfillment of your good is certain. The soil does not strain to produce the flower. It follows a natural law that is as dependable as the rising of the sun. Faith operates in the same way, drawing to you the right people, opportunities, and circumstances at the right moment without strain or delay. In faith, you release the need to manipulate or control the pathway of your blessings. You cease trying to predict exactly how they will come, because you understand that life has infinite ways to deliver what is yours. Often, the path faith creates is far better than anything the limited mind could have planned. This is why those who walk in faith seem to move through life with an ease that others call luck or chance. But there is nothing random about it. It is simply the law of attraction working unhindered by doubt, fear, or resistance. Faith is like a clear channel. When it is open, the stream flows freely, carrying with it all that belongs to you. Faith is not passive, it is active trust. It shapes your words, your choices, and your expectations. When you believe fully that good is coming, your actions naturally align with that belief. You speak with confidence. You step forward boldly. You make decisions as if the outcome is already assured. This forward motion, powered by belief rather than fear, creates momentum that opens more doors. Faith is the inner engine that keeps you moving toward your good, even when the road seems empty. Because you know the destination is certain. It is easy to confuse effort with effectiveness. But faith teaches that the most powerful results often come without frantic striving. This is not laziness but alignment. It is doing what you are guided to do, when you are guided to do it, and leaving the rest to the higher order that governs all life. The oak tree does not push the acorn into becoming. It simply holds the space for it to grow. Faith works in much the same way, holding the space for your good until it takes form. In this space you do not waste energy doubting, questioning, or rehearsing fears, because you know the law cannot fail. Those who operate in faith carry a certain lightness, because they are free from the weight of constant worry. Worry is simply faith in the wrong direction. It is belief in the possibility of loss or failure. But true faith turns the mind away from these shadows and fixes it on the light of certain good. When you walk in faith, you stop measuring time in terms of delay, because you trust that the moment of arrival will be perfect. You no longer resent the process, because you understand that the process itself is part of the blessing. Faith also removes the need for comparison. When you know your blessings are tailored specifically for you, the success of others becomes a sign of what is possible, not a threat. You do not fear being left behind, because faith teaches that nothing meant for you can be taken from you, and nothing not meant for you can be forced to stay. This understanding keeps your heart open and your spirit generous, which in turn attracts even more good. Faith, therefore, not only draws blessings, but also shapes your character into one who can sustain and expand them. It is in moments of apparent lack or delay that faith shows its true strength. Anyone can believe when evidence is obvious, but faith holds steady when the field is still bare, trusting that the seed is germinating beneath the surface. This steadiness keeps you from making desperate decisions that could derail the process. It keeps you from grasping at lesser things out of fear that nothing better will come. Faith allows you to wait without anxiety, to prepare without doubt, and to move forward without hesitation when the right moment arrives. Faith also works hand in hand with intuition. When you trust that good is coming, you become more sensitive to the quiet nudges and inner whispers that guide you toward it. These subtle impulses, perhaps a sudden idea, a chance meeting, or an unexpected urge to take a different path, are often the very channels through which your blessings arrive. Without faith, such whispers are easily dismissed as coincidences or random thoughts. With faith, you recognize them as part of the unfolding answer. Because faith is magnetic, it not only draws good toward you, but also draws you toward your good. There is a meeting in the middle, a divine choreography, that brings the two together in perfect timing. You may find yourself in places you hadn't planned to be, speaking to people you hadn't expected to meet, and realizing later that each step was perfectly arranged. Faith makes you a willing participant in this arrangement, knowing that even the detours are part of the route. Today is the treasure chest of opportunity, and every moment within it is a jewel waiting to be discovered. It does not matter what yesterday held or what tomorrow may promise. Today is where life is happening, where every blessing must enter, and where every change is born. The present moment is the only place where your thoughts can take root and bear fruit. To dwell in it fully is to step into the only true place of power you have. Too often, the mind races ahead into tomorrow's unknown or circles endlessly in yesterday's shadows, forgetting that the key to all doors rests in the now. Every treasure you seek can only be unlocked here, in the unfolding of this day. When you awaken to the truth that today holds everything you need, your perspective shifts. You stop waiting for a better season, a better mood, or a better set of circumstances to begin living fully. You start recognizing that the opportunities before you now are the stepping stones toward every desire of your heart. Some opportunities will be bold and unmistakable, others will arrive quietly, disguised in the ordinary. But each is part of the hidden map leading you to greater good. The treasure chest of today may not always appear gilded, but it holds exactly what is needed for your growth, fulfillment, and joy in this moment. To treat today as a treasure chest is to approach it with reverence and expectancy, just as a collector would open a chest slowly. Savoring each piece inside, you begin to move through the day with a sense of curiosity and gratitude. You notice the way the sunlight falls across the floor, the warmth in a stranger's smile, the timing of an unexpected phone call, or the insight that arrives in a quiet pause. These are not small things. They are the gems of the present moment, each one adding to the richness of your experience. When you train your eyes to see them, you realize that the treasure is not only in grand events, but in the countless small details woven into the fabric of the day. The opportunities in today's chest are not static, they are living, shifting, and waiting for your engagement. Some require action, making a call, saying yes to a meeting, taking a step toward a goal. Others require stillness, allowing an idea to ripen, giving space for clarity to form, or simply resting to restore your energy. Knowing which is which comes from listening closely to your inner guidance. For not every treasure needs to be grasped immediately. Some blessings mature with time, and rushing toward them too soon may cause you to miss their fullness. One of the greatest mistakes is to overlook today while longing for tomorrow. The promise of a future harvest can tempt you to bypass the richness of the current season, but the seeds for tomorrow's blessings are planted here. When you honor today as the field where those seeds are sown, you begin to tend it with care, patience, and love. You understand that no effort given to this day is wasted, and no moment of awareness is without reward. Even apparent delays or detours can hold the very experiences or lessons needed for the doors ahead to open. Today's treasure chest also holds opportunities for connection. A conversation might reveal a key piece of information you need. A chance encounter might lead to a lasting friendship or partnership. These moments often seem casual at first, but when viewed in hindsight, they are clearly part of a greater orchestration. To live in awareness is to be alert to these openings, to sense when life is placing a gift in your path, and to receive it without hesitation or doubt. Sometimes the treasure comes through giving rather than receiving. A word of encouragement you offer to another might set in motion a blessing that circles back to you in ways you cannot yet see. It is important to remember that not all opportunities will look like opportunities at first glance. Some arrive as challenges, asking you to stretch, to grow, or to let go of something familiar. These are treasures in disguise, shaping your character, strengthening your faith, and refining your vision. What may feel like an obstacle is often the polishing cloth that prepares the jewel of your desire to shine more brightly when it finally appears. When you embrace this perspective, even difficulties become part of the wealth contained in today. The treasure of today also lies in its uniqueness. No 2 days are alike. Once this day has passed, it will never come again in the same form. This gives it a rare value, for the mix of opportunities, people, and moments present now will not be repeated. Even the challenges have their own distinct lessons that cannot be duplicated. To squander today by wishing for another time is to leave the chest unopened, its gifts unclaimed. But when you open it with care and presence, you carry its treasures forward, enriching not only this day but all the days to come. Living as though today is the treasure chest of opportunity requires a gentle discipline. A willingness to keep returning your attention to the now, even when your thoughts wander. It means asking, what is being offered to me in this moment? And trusting that the answer will come, even if it is subtle. It means allowing yourself to participate fully in whatever is unfolding, knowing that presence itself is a magnet for blessings. The more you give yourself to the day, the more the day gives itself to you. The truth is, every day begins as a closed chest, its contents hidden from view. You cannot know in advance all that it holds, but you can choose how you approach it. If you approach with dread, the jewels remain buried beneath layers of inattention. If you approach with expectancy, you begin to notice the glimmer of opportunities everywhere. Even a simple task, approached with the awareness that it may hold a key connection or insight, can yield something precious. The attitude you bring is the key that unlocks the lid. Blessings arrive in perfect timing and form, never a moment too soon and never a moment too late. They are delivered with precision, shaped to fit the needs, desires, and growth of your soul at the exact stage of your journey where they will serve you best. Even when impatience whispers that they should have come earlier, or doubt insists they may never come at all, there is an unseen wisdom at work that knows the right hour and the right shape in which each blessing should appear. This timing is not bound by human clocks or calendars. It is governed by a higher order that considers every thread in the vast tapestry of your life, weaving them together in patterns too intricate to see from your current vantage point. The form a blessing takes is often different from what you might have imagined. Yet it is always perfect for what it is meant to accomplish in you and for you. You may envision abundance coming as a specific sum of money, only to find it arriving as a new opportunity, a connection, or a resource that ultimately proves far richer than cash could have been. You may picture love appearing in one familiar shape, but life may send it through an unexpected person, or in an entirely different relationship dynamic, one that challenges you to expand your understanding of love itself. This is the beauty of trusting, not only in the timing, but in the form of your blessings, for the mind's limited vision can only guess, while the higher order sees the whole picture. Perfect timing means that your blessings are aligned not just with your readiness, but with the readiness of all the other elements involved. Sometimes the delay you perceive is not about you at all. It is about another person or situation that must be prepared to meet you at the exact point where both can flourish. You may need the skill, wisdom, or emotional strength gained from an experience you have yet to pass through before you can fully receive and sustain what you desire. To arrive at a blessing unprepared is to risk losing it, but to arrive in perfect readiness is to be able to hold it, nurture it, and let it expand. The form of a blessing often carries its own message. It may come wrapped in simplicity, so that only a heart trained to notice the quiet can truly receive it. It may come with a flourish, a grand unfolding that leaves no doubt it was meant for you. It may come disguised as a challenge that forces you to grow in order to claim it. Each form is deliberate. It teaches you something about yourself, about life, and about the nature of the divine order that governs both. When you remain open to any form, you remove the blinders that cause many to miss their blessings entirely because they were looking for something else. There are times when the form is so unexpected that it takes time to even recognize it as a blessing. What looks like an ending may, upon reflection, be the very door that allowed you to step into greater freedom. What feels like a loss may be the clearing away of what could not travel with you to the place you were meant to go. This is why trust in the form is as essential as trust in the timing. Both are chosen with care by the unseen hand that directs all things for your highest good. When blessings come in perfect timing and form, they fit seamlessly into your life, like a missing puzzle piece snapping into place. They do not arrive with the strain of forcing or the exhaustion of chasing. They come with a sense of ease, even if they require you to rise to meet them. They seem to carry their own confirmation, a feeling that says, "Yes, this is right," even before your mind has finished analyzing them. This recognition is the soul's way of acknowledging that the alignment has been reached. Patience becomes a natural companion when you understand this principle. Instead of pushing against what is not yet here, you focus on becoming the version of yourself who will be ready when it arrives. You tend to your inner life, sharpen your skills, nurture your relationships, and keep your heart open. You stop comparing your timing to another's, because you realize each life has its own rhythm, its own divine schedule. Just as no two flowers bloom at the exact same moment, no two blessings share the exact same hour of arrival. The form of a blessing also adapts to your willingness to receive. If your heart is open wide, the form can be expansive, abundant, and overflowing. If your openness is still growing, it may arrive in smaller doses, each one expanding your capacity to receive the next. This gradual unfolding is not a lesser gift. It is a preparation, ensuring that each step is secure before the next is taken. Often, the perfection of timing and form is only clear in hindsight. Looking back, you can see how certain delays saved you from paths that were not truly aligned. How certain unexpected forms brought you more than you would have dared to ask for. And how certain seeming disappointments were the very things that guided you to what you truly needed. The more you see this pattern repeated, the easier it becomes to trust it in the present moment. Blessings that come too soon can overwhelm, and blessings that come in the wrong form can be missed entirely. But blessings that arrive in perfect timing and form meet you exactly where you are and carry you forward to where you are meant to be. They are like rain falling on soil that has just been tilled. Every drop sinks in and nourishes because the ground is ready. And when they do arrive, they often bring with them a ripple effect, opening doors to even more blessings that could not have been unlocked until this one had come. Trust aligns you with your rightful portion, for trust is the steady hand that holds open the door to all that is meant for you. It is the willingness to rest in the assurance that nothing good can be withheld, and nothing that belongs to another can truly be yours. In this quiet confidence, you stop struggling to force outcomes, stop competing with others for what you think is scarce, and stop exhausting yourself in the restless pursuit of security. Trust places you in harmony with the flow of life, allowing the river of blessings to carry you naturally to the shores where your portion awaits. It is not passivity but the calm readiness of one who knows that their needs are already accounted for in the larger plan. When you walk in trust, you stop measuring your worth by what has not yet appeared. You understand that unseen arrangements are already unfolding on your behalf, whether you witness them or not. Just as the roots of a tree grow beneath the surface, long before new leaves appear, the roots of your blessings are spreading in places you cannot see. Trust gives you the patience to let them grow strong before they emerge. This patience is not idle, it is filled with purposeful preparation, tending to the life you have now, so that you can hold and sustain the greater life you are moving toward. Your rightful portion is not something you must seize, it is something you must receive. Trust removes the fear of missing out, because you know that what is meant for you will find you, even if it has to travel through unexpected routes or arrive in ways your mind never planned. This allows you to release the anxious grip on timing and appearance. You begin to see that the competition is an illusion, for no two people have the exact same portion. The blessings shaped for you carry your name, and they will not fit anyone else in the same way. In trust, you learn to welcome what comes and bless what goes, for you understand that every arrival and departure serves the perfect unfolding of your portion. If something leaves, it is not a loss but a clearing. If something arrives, it is not a random gift but an appointed part of your path. This perspective creates a stability within you that cannot be shaken by temporary conditions. You no longer live in reaction to every shift in circumstance, because your focus is not on the appearance of things, but on the unchanging order behind them. Trust also sharpens your perception. When you believe your portion is already on its way, you become more alert to the signs and opportunities that are part of its delivery. A passing comment may contain the idea you need. A delay may position you to meet someone essential to your journey. An inconvenience may steer you away from a path that would have taken you away from your true portion. In this way, trust acts as a compass, keeping you aligned even when the route curves and twists. The act of trusting transforms the way you handle uncertainty. Instead of fearing the unknown, you begin to see it as the space where your blessings are prepared. You can walk through unanswered questions with peace, knowing they are not gaps but gestation periods. You no longer rush to fill every silence or resolve every mystery, because you have learned that the unseen is often where the greatest work is being done. This trust in the process keeps you from scattering your energy in frantic action, allowing you to move only when truly guided. Trust also deepens your gratitude. When you believe in the certainty of your portion, you see each present blessing as part of the whole, not as something separate or insufficient. A small opportunity is recognized as a seed, a single answered prayer as proof that the storehouse is open. Gratitude in turn strengthens trust, creating a cycle that draws your portion closer with each passing day. The more you trust, the more you notice. The more you notice, the more you receive. Your rightful portion is not limited to material things. It includes peace of mind, fulfilling relationships, health, purpose, and the quiet joy that comes from living in alignment with who you are. Trust ensures that you do not settle for substitutes. Without trust, impatience may tempt you to grasp at what is available now, even if it is not right. With trust, you can wait for what is truly yours, knowing that anything less would only occupy the space meant for something greater. This ability to wait with peace is not weakness but strength, for it keeps you from being swayed by appearances or pressure. There is also a humility in trust. It recognizes that the higher order knows more than the limited mind can comprehend. This humility allows you to release your tight plans when they no longer serve, to welcome redirection without resistance, and to admit that your portion may be far more than you dared to imagine. By stepping back from the need to control, you make room for the unexpected abundance that only trust can unlock. As trust grows, so does your sense of security. You no longer live with the fear that your good could be taken away, for you understand that it is anchored in something deeper than circumstances. Even in seasons where outer evidence seems scarce, you remain anchored in the truth that your portion is intact and making its way toward you. This steadiness not only supports your own peace, but also inspires those around you, for they see in you a calmness that is rare in a world that constantly urges urgency. Man's word is his wand of power. Every word spoken sets laws in motion, seen or unseen. If you desire wealth, you must first understand that the universe operates through divine laws, and these laws respond not to chatter and idle confession, but to quiet conviction and unwavering faith. When you speak too soon or to the wrong ears, you scatter your forces, you dilute your magnetism. The seeds of your abundance are still germinating in the invisible, and speaking them too early is like digging up a seed before it roots. People often believe that in order to bring their dreams to life, they must tell everyone about them. They think that broadcasting their plans will somehow make them more real. But the truth is, spiritual power moves in silence. It grows in sacred secrecy. The law of non-resistance teaches us to avoid unnecessary friction, and when you expose your desires to unprepared minds, you invite resistance, judgment, and even envy. That is a misuse of your creative word. There are 7 things, 7 delicate truths, you must hold sacred if you truly wish to become rich. These are not just practical matters, but energetic ones. For example, your plans, your income, your struggles, your sources, your intentions, your giving, and your spiritual practices. These are sacred fires that must not be exposed to winds. When you tell someone your plans, and they respond with doubt or sarcasm, their words may act as weeds in your mental garden. And unless your consciousness is strong and clean, those weeds can choke your faith. So many have blocked their financial success simply by over-talking it. They build castles of gold in the spirit, only to let the drawbridge down too early, allowing others in who do not see what they see. And then they wonder why the riches do not arrive. The mind must be a fortress, with your desires guarded like a treasure chest until the time is right. Not out of fear, but out of wisdom. Your riches are already present in divine mind. They are waiting for you to become a perfect channel. Clear, focused, and disciplined in thought, word, and deed. Every careless word is like a hole in the bucket of abundance. Guard your tongue, not with tension, but with peace. Hold your vision in silence. Speak only to those whose consciousness aligns with yours. The universe rewards discretion, for it signals trust, strength, and spiritual maturity. Remember, the world is full of dream snatchers and idea drainers, not from malice, but from ignorance. Speak your desires only when guided by the divine nudge, and even then, speak in truth, not in fear or pride. Power does not announce itself with noise. It moves in stillness, confidence, and alignment. Let your silence be your signal to the universe that you are ready. Ready not just to dream of wealth, but to receive it. Guard your desires with sacred silence. This is not simply a suggestion. It is a spiritual law woven into the fabric of manifestation. In the unseen realm where thought is form and words are seeds, silence is the womb of creation. Desires, especially those tied to abundance and prosperity, are delicate in their early stages. They exist first in the realm of spirit, intangible, formless, and susceptible to interference. When you speak too soon, you expose them to the winds of opinion, doubt, envy, and resistance. These forces may not be malicious, but they can be powerful enough to delay or even destroy the flowering of your good. When you plant a seed in the ground, you do not dig it up each morning to see if it has sprouted. You trust the process. You water it, nurture it, and keep it protected until the shoot is strong enough to face the sun. So too it is with your desires. They must be kept in the soil of your subconscious, nurtured by affirmations and faith, and watered with gratitude. Silence, then, becomes your protective force field. It is not secrecy born of fear, but of reverence. The spiritual realm rewards those who treat their visions with honor, who understand that premature exposure can unravel the delicate threads of divine timing. When a person voices their desire to the wrong ear, they invite analysis, criticism, or even casual dismissal. Each of these responses carries energetic weight. The law of vibration teaches us that all thoughts and words emit a frequency. When someone responds to your desire with fear, ridicule, or disbelief, that vibration can enter your field, unless your consciousness is fully fortified. If it is not, the frequency of their doubt can begin to mix with your intention, diluting its purity and scattering its focus. Some people speak their desires out of excitement, needing external validation to believe it themselves. But this reveals a lack of spiritual certainty. The one who truly knows the power of their word does not need an audience. They do not require applause or confirmation. They trust that the divine hears their silent decree, and that the universal supply has already begun to shift in their favor. In the silence, they speak to infinite intelligence, not to man. They affirm that which is not yet seen as though it were, and their conviction is unshakable. The moment you guard your desires with silence, you shift your point of power inward. You declare to the universe, I trust you. I trust myself. I trust the process. You disengage from the collective habit of oversharing, and instead align yourself with the rhythm of natural growth. Every great oak tree was once a hidden acorn, buried and unseen. It did not announce itself, nor did it seek permission to grow. It simply grew, silently and steadily, because it obeyed the law of life. When you withhold your desires from idle conversation, you conserve your energy. You protect your vision from being dissipated across too many channels. Energy flows where attention goes, and when your attention is fragmented by the reactions of others, you lose focus. Silence enables concentration. Concentration empowers manifestation. In silence, you are not subject to external influences. You become a clear channel through which divine ideas can flow and crystallize. People often believe that they must speak it into existence, and indeed, the spoken word is powerful. But speaking is only potent when it is backed by inner authority and alignment. Speaking out of nervousness, insecurity, or the need for reassurance weakens your vibration. The real power is in the calm knowing, the inner declaration that does not require sound to exist. Some of the most powerful prayers are wordless. They are felt, believed, and received in the silence between thoughts. The same is true for your desires. Guarding them with silence allows you to commune with the unseen forces that shape your reality. There is also a discipline in silence. It requires maturity not to speak. It requires awareness to resist the urge to share everything. Many people speak to fill space, to feel heard, or to gain approval. But the spiritually disciplined individual recognizes that silence is not emptiness. It is full of creative force. It is a magnet for divine ideas. In stillness you receive instruction. In quiet you hear the whispers of inspiration. If you are always talking, you cannot listen. And if you cannot listen, you cannot be guided. Your desires need more listening than speaking. They need your faith, not your explanation. Guarding your desires also helps you avoid the energetic entanglements that come with other people's projections. Everyone sees life through their own lens of belief, which is shaped by their experiences, fears, and limitations. When you share your vision with someone who carries lack consciousness, they will reflect it back to you. They may not mean harm, but their words can carry the energy of restriction. If you are not yet anchored in prosperity consciousness, their words can plant doubt where there was once faith. It is not about mistrusting others, it is about trusting yourself more. When you keep your desires sacred, you demonstrate to yourself that you are enough, that you do not need external agreement to validate your dreams. This inner assurance creates a resonance that attracts opportunities, resources, and allies aligned with your purpose. You become magnetic, not by force, but by faith. People begin to sense your clarity even without words. Your energy does the speaking for you. Silence also grants you the space to refine your desires. Sometimes we speak too soon, before the desire has fully formed. We announce a version that is only half-baked, only to later feel confused or embarrassed when our vision evolves. But when you remain silent, you give your inner self time to sculpt the desire, to explore its nuances, and to adjust it to match your highest good. Desire is not static, it is alive, it moves, changes, and deepens as you grow. Silence honors that process. The world moves fast and loudly. In a culture obsessed with visibility, guarding your desires may feel counterintuitive. But spiritual truth often runs opposite to worldly logic. The world says, tell everyone, make noise, get attention. Spirit says, go within, be still. Align with the divine. One path leads to scattered energy and external chasing. The other leads to magnetic presence and effortless receiving. When you guard your desires with silence, you are choosing the latter. You are stepping into a higher order of creation, one that does not depend on outer noise but on inner knowing. Your desires are holy. They are messages from your higher self, hints of the life you are meant to live. Treat them as sacred. Speak them only when led by inner certainty, and even then, choose your audience wisely. Energy is always being exchanged. In silence you conserve yours. In silence, you build a field of power so strong, so concentrated, that when you do finally speak, creation obeys. Until then, let silence be your shield, your sanctuary, and your most powerful affirmation. Avoid sharing plans with unaligned minds. This truth, though simple, carries profound spiritual weight. The moment you birth a vision in your consciousness, it becomes sacred, a seed of divine intention placed in your mind by infinite intelligence. That seed must be nurtured in an atmosphere of faith, clarity, and alignment. Sharing your plans prematurely, especially with those whose thoughts and energies do not align with yours, can disrupt the delicate energetic balance required for manifestation. The universe does not operate on external approval. It responds to internal conviction. Every plan you make is like an architectural design of your future, drawn first in thought, then spoken into vibration, and finally constructed in material form. But not all minds are equipped to understand or support that design. Some people live in a state of fear, doubt, and limitation. Their perception is clouded by past failures, lack consciousness, and the habit of worry. When you present your plan to them, they do not see it with the eyes of faith, but through the lens of limitation. Their immediate reaction may be to question it, warn you of risks, or dismiss it as unrealistic. And while they may believe they are being practical or protective, what they are truly doing is projecting their own energetic blocks onto your pure idea. If your own consciousness is not yet firmly established, those projections can take root within you. They can weaken your faith, cloud your clarity, and distort the vision you once held with certainty. The act of sharing a plan is not neutral. It is a transaction, an energetic exchange. The moment you speak your intention aloud, you transfer some of its power into the atmosphere. The person receiving it becomes part of your field, influencing the vibration of the vision, even if unconsciously. If their thoughts and emotions contradict your goal, those frequencies mix with your own. That is why it is essential to be highly selective about who hears your plans. Only those whose consciousness supports your expansion, whose words uplift and affirm, and whose silence honors the sacredness of your journey, are worthy of receiving your vision. When you share a plan with someone who is unaligned, you risk entangling yourself in their fears. They may ask a question that plants a seed of doubt. They may make a facial expression that triggers old insecurities. They may tell a story of someone who tried and failed. And suddenly, without even realizing it, you begin to question your path. The energy that was once moving forward now pauses, hesitates, or reverses. This is not because your plan was flawed, but because your energy was disrupted. The soil of your subconscious, which once held the seed of your desire with warmth and faith, becomes chilled by the frost of another's disbelief. True manifestation requires alignment. Every thought, word, and feeling must be in harmony with the outcome you seek. To maintain that alignment, you must guard the energetic space around your plan. Not all minds are ready to witness what you are building. Some have not yet cleared the clutter of their own resistance. And when they encounter your clean and bold intention, it threatens their comfort. They may attempt, often unconsciously, to dim your light so theirs doesn't feel so small. This is not evil, it is ignorance. But ignorance can be just as destructive when allowed into your sacred field. Think of your plan as a delicate flame. In its early stages, it is easily extinguished by a gust of wind or a careless wave of the hand. The wrong words, the wrong tone, the wrong energy can be enough to snuff it out. Your job is to shield that flame until it becomes a fire so strong it cannot be put out by anything external. That strength comes through spiritual alignment, inner certainty, and selective sharing. You do not need to broadcast your plans to be confident in them. In fact, true confidence is quiet. It is the still, calm knowing that what you are building already exists in divine substance and is on its way into form. Unaligned minds are not just individuals with different goals or values. They are those who vibrate at a frequency incompatible with your desired outcome. They may speak of lack while you are affirming abundance. They may dwell on problems while you are focused on solutions. They may be ruled by logic while you are moved by intuition. When you share your plans with them, you invite friction. And friction creates delay. The universe responds most powerfully when your vibration is pure and uninterrupted. Even those closest to you, family, friends, mentors, may not be aligned. Love alone does not ensure support. Some people love you deeply but are deeply fearful. Their love expresses itself through caution, warnings, or attempts to protect you from disappointment. While their intentions may be good, their energy is not helpful. And energy is the currency of creation. You must learn to discern beyond words. Feel the vibration. Observe the patterns. Does this person celebrate growth or shrink from it? Do they expand your vision or narrow it? Do they speak life into your plans or sow seeds of confusion? There is a discipline in withholding. It is a form of spiritual self-respect. You are telling the universe, I honor this plan enough to protect it. You are saying to yourself, I do not need external confirmation, because I already have divine instruction. That level of inner strength is magnetic. It draws aligned circumstances, resources, and people into your field. You begin to attract those who recognize your vision, not through explanation, but through resonance. When your plans are held within your own consciousness, nurtured by faith, and surrounded by quiet alignment, they grow faster. They are not delayed by interference. They are not subjected to emotional entanglements. They are free to evolve naturally, guided by intuition and divine timing. Silence becomes your cocoon, a protective space where transformation can occur. And when the time comes to act or speak, you will do so from a place of clarity and power, not from the need to be seen or understood. It is not selfish to be selective, it is wise. Wisdom does not scatter its pearls. It waits for the proper setting, the proper moment, and the proper recipient. Your plans are pearls, reflections of your soul's intent. Share them only with those who treat them as such. Until then, let your energy speak louder than your words. Let your progress be your announcement. Let your alignment be your explanation. The spiritually aligned mind knows when to speak and when to stay silent, when to share and when to conserve. In conserving your energy, you amplify your power. In protecting your vision, you accelerate its birth. Words carry creative and destructive power. Every syllable spoken, every sentence formed is not just communication. It is an act of creation or demolition in the invisible realm of spirit. This is not a metaphor, but a spiritual law as exact as mathematics. The spoken word is a vibratory force that calls into being that which it names. It shapes substance, molds conditions, and directs energy toward or away from your desires. Each time you speak, you are either affirming your faith or reinforcing your fear. The tongue is a tool that can bless or curse, uplift or suppress, build or shatter. Many people speak without awareness, unaware that every casual phrase becomes a seed planted in the soil of the subconscious. They repeat phrases born from lack, fear, limitation, and resistance, then wonder why their lives do not reflect abundance or joy. A person may declare, "I'll never have enough," or "Things never work out for me." And the universe, being obedient to law, reflects that statement with precision. The law does not discriminate, it simply responds. It does not ask whether you meant it or not. It does not check for sarcasm or humor. It takes your word and sets it into motion. The creative word is law in action. What you consistently affirm becomes your experience. Words do not merely describe reality, they create it. They sculpt the invisible energy field that surrounds you, attracting or repelling people, opportunities, and outcomes. To speak is to decree. Every complaint is a declaration of faith in what you do not want. Every word of doubt is an affirmation of delay. Every word of confidence, on the other hand, becomes a decree of manifestation. When you say, "I am prosperous," you are not just hoping. You are commanding the universe to rearrange itself to reflect that truth. When you say, "I am always guided," you are aligning with divine intelligence and opening the way for wisdom to flow to you. People often underestimate the power of idle words. They speak out of habit, influenced by the collective language of limitation. They join in gossip, sarcasm, or self-deprecation, not realizing that their subconscious is recording every word as instruction. The subconscious is always listening. It is literal, obedient, and emotionless. If you speak in jest about failure, it does not laugh. It does not wait for clarification. It takes your word as law and begins to align your reality accordingly. That is why spiritual discipline begins with the mouth. The disciplined individual guards their speech as a sacred channel, through which only truth, beauty, and abundance may flow. To become a master of your life, you must first become a master of your word. Speak only what you wish to see. Affirm only what you wish to experience. Declare only what you want to come true. This does not mean ignoring current circumstances, but refusing to reinforce them with negative reinforcement. It means choosing your words not based on what is happening, but based on what you are calling in. It is the practice of speaking from vision rather than reaction. Even in challenging times, the power of the word remains. Especially then, in fact, the temptation to speak fear, to describe chaos, or to echo despair is strongest when circumstances seem bleak. But that is when the spiritual warrior must become even more vigilant. To speak peace in the face of conflict, to declare abundance in the midst of need, to affirm health in the shadow of illness. This is spiritual mastery. The outer world may shout one thing, but your word must remain loyal to the truth of divine order. Words are not isolated. They create momentum. A single word spoken in faith can open doors, just as a single word spoken in fear can close them. When you begin to speak with intention, your entire energy shifts. You begin to notice the way others use their words. You begin to choose silence over meaningless chatter. You begin to feel the vibration behind the sentence. Words begin to feel heavier, more sacred. And you realize that speech is not to be wasted. It is to be wielded. The phrase, "I am," is the most powerful beginning to any sentence you can speak. It is the name of the divine within you. Whatever follows, "I am," becomes a command to your subconscious, a call to your environment, and a declaration to the universe. I am tired, I am poor, I am unlucky. These are not simple complaints, they are spiritual instructions. But so are, I am strong, I am open, I am worthy. Choose wisely what you attach to the name of God within you. The spiritual world listens for consistency. If your affirmations are strong in the morning, but your conversations are full of doubt by noon, you are sending mixed signals to the universe. Consistency of word builds momentum. It strengthens your vibrational field and establishes a frequency that can only attract what is in harmony with it. If your words are scattered, so will be your results. If your words are firm, clear, and intentional, so will be your reality. There is also great power in withholding words. Silence can be creative too. Not every feeling must be verbalized. Not every reaction deserves expression. When you hold your tongue, instead of speaking from fear or anger, you preserve energy. You allow the emotion to pass without solidifying it into form. Speaking a feeling gives it shape, remaining silent allows it to dissolve. There is wisdom in restraint. There is creation in stillness. The spoken word also influences those around you. When you speak faith, others rise with you. When you speak limitation, others contract. Your words are a ministry, whether you intend them to be or not. You are always teaching, always leading, always shaping energy by what you say. A single word of encouragement can shift someone's day. A single declaration of truth can ripple into unseen corners of consciousness. Speak as though every word carries weight, because it does. You are not a victim of your circumstances, you are the author of your reality, and your words are your pen. Every sentence you speak adds another line to the script you are writing. You can rewrite your story at any time by changing your vocabulary. Stop rehearsing the old narrative. Stop describing the life you no longer want. Begin to speak as the version of yourself who already has what you seek. Begin to speak not from what you see, but from what you know to be true in spirit. Words can become rituals. They can open portals to the divine. Speak blessings over your life daily. Bless your body, your finances, your relationships, your path. Use your voice as a channel of light. Let no complaint pass your lips without first transforming it into a declaration of power. Speak not just for yourself but for the collective. Speak as one who knows the law. Speak with the awareness that your word is not empty. It is the first form your desires will take before they appear in the material. Guard it, honor it. Use it with reverence. Let your word become a bridge between the invisible and the visible, between the thought and the thing. Discretion signals spiritual maturity. It is not simply about keeping secrets or avoiding conflict. It is a reflection of one's deep understanding of the laws that govern the invisible world. The spiritually mature individual knows that not all truths are meant to be spoken aloud, and not every revelation is meant to be shared. In a world that encourages constant expression, loud declarations, and immediate sharing, discretion becomes a rare and powerful form of inner mastery. It is the ability to hold your vision in quiet reverence, to walk in certainty without needing external validation, and to protect your desires with the armor of silence and wisdom. Discretion is not born from fear, but from clarity. It is knowing the value of what you carry within and refusing to expose it to energies that do not align. It is the conscious choice to move in alignment with divine timing, rather than forcing a revelation before it has taken root. A person who has matured spiritually understands that every thought, every desire, every plan carries energy. That energy must be nurtured in a protected environment if it is to grow strong. Just as you would not leave a young plant exposed to harsh winds or careless feet, you do not expose your spiritual treasures to careless listeners or skeptical minds. Spiritual growth brings with it a shift in what you feel compelled to share. The need to explain, to prove, to impress, begins to fall away. In its place arises a calm knowing. This knowing does not need to defend itself. It does not seek approval. It rests in divine confidence, and from this place, the soul becomes more selective with speech. Not because it is hiding, but because it recognizes that true power rarely announces itself. True power moves in silence, emerges in alignment, and reveals itself only when conditions are right. Discretion is also a form of self-respect. It is honoring your journey enough not to allow others to interfere with it prematurely. Many people feel the urge to share their plans the moment they form them. They speak their goals to friends, to family, to strangers online, thinking that verbalizing will bring them closer to reality. But the spiritually mature understand that speaking too soon can drain the energy of a dream. It can subject a pure intention to doubt, criticism, envy, or misunderstanding. Discretion is the awareness that your dream is not yet ready to withstand that. It is still being formed in the quiet places of your consciousness. It needs more belief and less exposure. Every time you share a vision or a desire, you open an energetic door. Through that door energy flows, yours and theirs. If the person you share with is aligned, supportive, and conscious, they may bless your vision, reinforcing it with faith. But if they are fearful, negative, or unconsciously limited, their energy may introduce distortion. The spiritually mature do not gamble with that exchange. They choose their conversations carefully. They speak only when their inner guidance gives the green light. They do not speak from impulse, but from intuition. They understand that silence is not emptiness, it is creative gestation. Discretion is a subtle strength. It does not seek attention. It does not need to prove anything. It allows things to unfold naturally, trusting that the right people, opportunities, and timing will reveal themselves without force. When you are spiritually mature, you stop feeling the urge to declare your intentions at every turn. You stop justifying your decisions. You stop performing for approval. You begin to trust your inner compass so deeply that others' understanding or misunderstanding becomes irrelevant. Those who have not yet reached this level of maturity may misread your silence. They may interpret it as secrecy, coldness, or withdrawal. But your silence is not an absence. It is a presence. It is filled with purpose. It is a sacred space where divine ideas are nurtured. The spiritually mature individual does not explain that silence. They do not feel the need to be understood. They are at peace with being misread, because they know that truth will reveal itself in time. The fruits of their labor will speak louder than any words ever could. Discretion is also about knowing the weight of your word. When you speak, you create ripples in the energetic field. A spiritually mature person does not waste words. They do not speak out of compulsion. They understand that every declaration, every conversation, every confession carries consequences. They pause before they speak. They consider whether their words are necessary, kind, and aligned. They do not overshare. They do not gossip. They do not speak to be heard. They speak to serve truth. In a world that values speed and exposure, discretion becomes a revolutionary act. It is an act of grounding. It is the refusal to rush, the decision to wait until the vision is clear, the energy is aligned, and the foundation is strong. The spiritually mature understand that rushing to share is often a sign of insecurity. The immature seek applause, affirmation, or reassurance. But the mature seek alignment. They know that what is truly theirs cannot be taken, and what is still forming must be protected. Discretion also allows space for the divine to work. When you hold back from speaking, you create a vacuum into which higher guidance can pour. You make room for the unseen to arrange itself on your behalf. If you fill that space with noise, you block the signal. You interfere with divine orchestration. The spiritually mature listen more than they speak. They are in tune with the subtle promptings of spirit. They know when to wait and when to move, when to speak and when to remain silent. They are not rushed by the world's urgency, because they are led by inner timing. Being discreet also strengthens intuition. The less you explain your inner process to others, the more clearly you can hear your own voice. External feedback can cloud your discernment. Too many opinions can drown out the subtle knowing that only you possess. Discretion is the commitment to preserve your sacred space. It is the honoring of your own soul's guidance above all else. It is the understanding that the path is walked within long before it is witnessed without. A spiritually mature person is not easily provoked into speech. They are not reactive. They are centered. They are measured. They are aware that timing is part of truth. Even a wise word spoken too soon can become a stumbling block. They wait for the moment when the soil is ready, when the listener is receptive, when the environment is supportive. They trust that silence can carry more power than premature declarations. They recognize that sacred things are not meant to be spoken lightly. Discretion is the quiet strength of the soul. It is the sacred discipline that allows greatness to unfold without interference. It is a declaration of trust in divine timing and inner truth. The spiritually mature are not led by the desire to be seen or known. They are led by the desire to be aligned. They do not chase exposure, they cultivate energy. They do not speak to validate, they speak to illuminate. Their words are rare, but when spoken, they are transformational. Because their silence was not a void, it was a preparation. It was the womb of power, the field of faith, the sacred ground where spirit took shape. Wealth manifests through inner conviction, not external validation. The beginning of every great fortune, every prosperous life, is not found in outer resources, connections, or approval from others. It is rooted in a deep, unshakable belief within. Conviction is the invisible foundation upon which visible abundance is built. It is the certainty that what you desire is already yours in essence, even before it arrives in form. This inner certainty becomes the magnet that draws all necessary elements, opportunities, ideas, support, and timing, into alignment. When you rely on external validation to believe in your wealth, you surrender your power. You become dependent on what is temporary and fleeting. But when your belief is anchored within, you are immovable. You are no longer seeking proof, you are walking as proof. True conviction is quiet and constant. It does not waver with changing circumstances. It does not seek reassurance from the world. It speaks silently to the universe with unwavering faith. This faith is not blind, it is deeply intuitive. It knows that wealth, like all good things, is first born in consciousness. Before it ever shows up in your bank account, your business, or your daily life, it must live within your thoughts, emotions, and identity. You must see yourself as wealthy, speak as if wealth is natural, and move through the world with the energy of one who already has what they seek. External validation is a trap of the ego. It seeks applause, agreement, and proof. It needs others to say, "Yes, that's possible," before it can believe it itself. But wealth does not arise from consensus. It arises from clarity. The masses often fear what they do not understand, and they project their own limitations onto others. If you look to them for permission, you will dilute your own vision. You will bend, hesitate, or abandon your path entirely. But when your conviction is strong, you can walk alone without fear. You can build in silence without praise. You can wait in faith without rushing or explaining. You are not controlled by appearances, because you are aligned with the unseen truth. Conviction is a spiritual force. It is not simply positive thinking or motivational enthusiasm. It is a knowing that overrides doubt. It is the frequency of certainty, and the universe responds to that frequency with precision. When you truly believe in your wealth, doors open. Not because you are lucky, but because your energy has become a match to the reality you are calling in. The law is clear like a tracks light. If your inner world is steeped in lack, fear, or desperation, that vibration will be mirrored externally. But if your inner world is saturated with peace, trust, and expectation of abundance, then abundance must follow. It is not a matter of if, it is a matter of alignment. This inner work is often invisible to others. They may not see what you are building. They may question your choices or misunderstand your silence. But spiritual maturity knows that wealth does not require advertisement in its early stages. It only requires belief. External validation is noisy and fragile. It fades the moment opinions change. But inner conviction is eternal. It does not rise and fall with the economy. It does not depend on applause or agreement. It stands firm, rooted in divine law. To cultivate this level of conviction, you must train your mind daily. You must feed it with truth. Surround it with images and words that affirm your wealth, and eliminate everything that contradicts your desired state. You cannot declare abundance and then speak lack in conversation. You cannot visualize prosperity and then dwell in worry. Conviction demands consistency. It asks you to become the living embodiment of your desire. Not in pretense, but in energetic alignment. You begin to think, feel, and act from the vibration of already having. This is not fantasy. It is the creative process at work. When your conviction deepens, your need for proof disappears. You are no longer waiting for the world to show you wealth. You are showing the world what wealth looks like through your energy. You become the evidence. You radiate certainty, and that certainty makes people take notice. Opportunities begin to find you. Synchronicities appear. But you are not surprised. You are not shaken. You receive with grace, because you knew it was already yours. There is also a sacred detachment that comes with inner conviction. You are not desperate. You are not chasing. You are not begging the universe for scraps. You know that wealth is your divine birthright, and you are simply aligning with what is already promised. This detachment removes resistance. It allows the flow of abundance to reach you more quickly and with greater ease. You are not forcing, you are allowing. Not because you are passive, but because your inner state is so secure that there is nothing left to prove. External validation often creates a cycle of insecurity. When you depend on others to affirm your worth or your vision, you give away your spiritual authority. You begin to shape your actions based on what others think, rather than what you know. This weakens your vibration. It makes your journey slower and your manifestations unstable. But when your conviction is internalized, you move with freedom. You make bold decisions. You take inspired action without hesitation. You become immune to the noise of doubt around you, because you are attuned to the voice of truth within. Even when faced with challenges, the person with inner conviction does not collapse. They do not panic. They see setbacks as part of the process. They know that appearances are temporary, and what is true in spirit must eventually become true in form. They do not let the illusion of delay become a reason to quit. They hold their vision in the fire and allow it to be tested, knowing that what is real cannot be destroyed. Their conviction becomes stronger with every step, not weaker. They are refined by the process, not broken by it. Wealth that is built on conviction is lasting. It is not subject to the instability of trends or public opinion. It is not fragile. It is rooted in law, and law does not fail. The universe honors the soul who knows, not the soul who wishes or hopes or waits to be told, but the one who already believes. Your wealth does not come from outside of you. It is not something you chase. It is something you awaken within. And once awakened, it begins to shape your life in ways that cannot be explained by logic alone. It becomes a magnetic force that draws all good things to you with grace and certainty. Life, in all its shimmering mystery, often hides the greatest treasures in the smallest of packages. Sometimes, 3 words, spoken with conviction, believed with the heart, and acted upon with faith, hold the power to transform not just days, but entire destinies. These words are not bound by the walls of circumstance, nor are they limited by the arithmetic of your current bank account. They are like a key to a vault you've never dared to open, a vault where abundance, opportunity, and success wait patiently for you to claim them. There is a law, invisible yet unshakable, that governs all things seen and unseen. Just as the tide knows when to rise and the flowers know when to bloom, the universe knows when to release the good that is yours. But the door to this flow opens only for the one who aligns thought, word, and belief. When you speak the right words, you send a command to the unseen to prepare the visible. You set a divine machinery into motion, and though you may not hear the gears turning, they turn for you nonetheless. Imagine standing before a field of unharvested gold. It is yours by divine right, but you must first recognize it. And then you must step forward to claim it. The 3 words, your 3 words, are like the claim ticket you hand over to the universe. With them, you are saying, I know who I am, I know what is mine, and I will not be denied. This is not arrogance, but spiritual certainty. It is the knowing that the river of wealth is endless, and you need only cup your hands to receive. 68 million is not a number to the universe. It is but a symbol, a shadow of the infinite. Whether it appears in dollars, opportunities, resources, or blessings beyond counting, it is all the same substance. To your higher mind, it is as easy to draw in millions as it is to draw on a single coin. The only barrier is belief. And belief is shaped by the words you choose and the vision you hold. So, the question becomes, will you speak words that build or words that break? Will you declare the truth of your abundance, or will you repeat the lie of lack? Your 3 words are not random. They must be chosen with the precision of a master builder selecting the first stones for a great cathedral. They must be spoken daily, without wavering, until your entire being hums with their vibration. Today, you are standing at the edge of a turning point. Speak your 3 words. Plant them in the fertile soil of faith. Water them with gratitude, and watch as they grow into a harvest beyond your calculations, perhaps even 68 million strong. The key is already in your hand. Now turn it. Words are more than mere sounds that pass our lips. They are carriers of energy, seed thoughts planted in the fertile soil of the unseen. Each word is a vibration, and each vibration calls forth a response from the vast field of potential around you. To say a word is not only to communicate, it is to create. When you speak, you are shaping reality in the most literal sense, sending out commands to the invisible forces that organize matter, circumstance, and opportunity. This is why some people seem to carry a mantle of success around them, while others feel trapped in cycles of disappointment. They are both gardeners, but one sows seeds of abundance, and the other sows seeds of lack. It is often said that life and death are in the power of the tongue. While to some this sounds like poetic exaggeration, it is in fact a spiritual law. Words spoken with conviction take root in the mind, and the mind then works like a skilled architect to manifest them in the physical realm. Think of a blueprint, lines and symbols drawn on paper that, when acted upon, result in a building. Your words are the lines and symbols of your blueprint. If you draw carelessly, the building will be crooked. If you choose your words carelessly, your life will reflect that same lack of precision. Every great change begins with a declaration. Before any invention came into being, before any fortune was amassed, before any movement transformed the world, someone spoke words that affirmed the possibility. I can. I will. It is mine. This shall be. Such statements are not merely wishful thinking, they are acts of creation. They send out a vibration that begins to attract the people, resources, and events necessary for the vision to take shape. The power lies not only in the choice of the words, but also in the faith behind them. Without belief, words are like seeds scattered on stone. With belief, they grow even in the desert. Consider for a moment the way negative speech works. Words of complaint, doubt, and fear also shape reality, only in the opposite direction. When a person continually says, I never have enough. I am always unlucky. Things never work out for me. They are casting spells over their own life. The mind receives these statements as instructions and seeks out evidence to confirm them. The outer world then obliges, offering circumstances that match the inner declaration. This is why the person who speaks often of illness seems to attract it, and the person who constantly talks about financial struggle finds themselves in it. The law is impartial. It does not distinguish between good seeds and bad seeds. It simply grows whatever is planted. To harness the power of words, one must become a vigilant guardian of speech. This does not mean policing every casual remark, but it does mean being aware of the patterns that dominate your language. The words you repeat daily become grooves in the mind, shaping your beliefs, and your beliefs shape your actions. Change the pattern of your speech, and you begin to change the pattern of your life. Speak prosperity, and you will find yourself drawn toward opportunities for wealth. Speak health, and you will notice your body responding in kind. Speak joy, and you will discover that even in challenges, your spirit remains light. Words are also amplified by emotion. A lukewarm statement has little force, but a word charged with feeling carries immense creative power. When you speak with gratitude, enthusiasm, or certainty, the energy you release is magnetic. It pulls toward you the conditions that match its vibration. This is why affirmations, when spoken mechanically, often fail to produce results, but when spoken with genuine conviction, they move mountains. The difference is the heart behind the word. The shaping power of words extends beyond the self. When you speak to others, you are influencing their reality as well. Encouragement can awaken dormant potential in another person, while criticism can stunt it. A teacher who tells a student, "You have great talent," plants a seed that may grow into mastery. A parent who says to a child, "You will never amount to anything," plants a seed of limitation that may take years to uproot. Words can open doors or close them. They can heal or harm, they can uplift or diminish. Being aware of this is not a burden but a responsibility and a privilege. Even in silence, the words you think carry weight. The inner dialogue you maintain is like a constant whisper to the universe, and the universe is always listening. If your inner words are filled with doubt, fear, and limitation, then even if your outer speech is polished, your results will reflect the inner conversation. Transformation begins when your inner and outer words align in truth, power, and vision. To think, I am capable, and to speak, I am capable, is to align thought and word, and such alignment is a powerful magnet for corresponding results. The ancients understood the sacred nature of words. Many traditions regarded the spoken word as a direct extension of divine power. To name something was to claim authority over it. In this sense, every word you speak is a naming, a declaration of what is so. When you say, I am wealthy, you are naming wealth as part of your identity. When you say, I am struggling, you are naming struggle as part of your identity. The I am that begins your sentence is like a throne upon which you place your chosen truth, and whatever sits upon that throne will rule your life. Language is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. Thoughts are the blueprint, words are the builders, and action is the laying of bricks. But without words to give structure to your vision, your ideas remain formless. This is why it is often not enough to simply think positively. You must also speak your good into existence. Speaking is an act of faith, for when you declare something not yet seen, you are affirming your trust that it exists in the unseen and will manifest in the seen. Just as a musician tunes an instrument before a performance, you must tune your words before they go out into the world. This means choosing them carefully, with awareness of their power and direction. Speak in alignment with your desired reality, not with your current conditions. The words, I am, should always be followed by something you wish to embody. The words, I have, should be followed by something you wish to receive. Speak as though your good is already yours, and you will find the world rearranging itself to reflect that truth. Belief is the invisible engine that drives every manifestation of abundance. It is not a casual preference or a passing wish, it is a deep, unshakable knowing that what you desire is already yours in essence, even before it takes form in the physical. Without belief, the finest words fall flat, and the grandest plans crumble into dust. Belief is the substance that fills the vessel of your desire, the life force that turns ideas into realities. When you believe, you are not merely hoping. You are standing in the certainty that the universe operates under laws, and one of those laws ensures that what you hold in unwavering faith will find its way to you. This belief is not built upon outer evidence. In fact, it often must be formed in the absence of evidence. Many people fall into the trap of thinking they will believe once they see the result, but the law works in reverse. You see the result because you first believed. Belief precedes manifestation in the same way that planting a seed precedes the appearance of the plant. You do not look at bare soil and declare that nothing is growing. You know that the unseen work has already begun beneath the surface. So too with your desires, you must believe they are germinating in the unseen long before they sprout into view. When it comes to abundance, belief acts like a key to a vault. The vault contains wealth, opportunity, and provision in limitless measure, but it will not open to the one who doubts. Doubt is a signal to the mind that the door should remain locked, and the mind obeys. Faith, however, is the signal to swing it wide open. This is why two people can face the same circumstances, yet one finds opportunity and the other only finds obstacles. The difference lies in belief. The believer sees beyond the surface, trusting that the unseen is arranging itself in their favor. The doubter sees only limitation and calls it reality, not realizing that reality is constantly reshaped by what they believe. Belief also determines how much you are able to receive. The universe can only fill the cup you bring, and belief shapes the size of that cup. If you believe only in small good, You will carry a thimble to the ocean of abundance and walk away thinking that is all there was. But when you believe in unlimited good, you bring a vessel without boundaries and watch as it overflows. This is why it is not arrogance to expect much. It is simply understanding the nature of the source. The infinite cannot run out, and your belief allows you to draw from it without measure. The challenge for many is that belief must often be built in the face of appearances that seem to contradict it. If the bank account is empty, if the opportunities seem absent, if the bills are mounting, belief can feel like a fragile candle in a strong wind. Yet this is precisely when belief must be guarded most fiercely. It is easy to believe when the evidence is favorable, but true creative belief holds steady even when all appearances scream otherwise. It refuses to take outer circumstances as the final truth, knowing they are only temporary arrangements of form that can shift in an instant. One of the great secrets of belief is that it is strengthened by repetition. Just as a muscle grows stronger through use, belief grows through consistent affirmation, visualization, and gratitude. Each time you affirm that your good is already yours, you are adding another layer of strength to your faith. Each time you visualize yourself living in the reality you desire, you are training your subconscious to accept it as fact. Each time you express gratitude for blessings seen and unseen, you are reinforcing your certainty that abundance is already on its way. Over time, these practices transform belief from a fragile thought into an unshakable knowing. Belief is also contagious. When you hold strong belief in your abundance, it radiates outward and influences others. People are drawn to those who exude quiet confidence, because it inspires them to believe in greater possibilities for themselves. Opportunities are magnetized to the one who believes, for belief carries a certain energy that attracts the conditions it expects. This is why the same idea in the hands of two different people can yield vastly different results. The one who believes fully will see doors open that remain closed to the one who doubts. A lack of belief, on the other hand, acts like a dam holding back the flow of abundance. The law of abundance is always seeking to express itself, but disbelief builds walls that block the current. This disbelief may not always be obvious. It can hide in subtle thoughts of unworthiness, in the habit of preparing for disappointment, or in the fear that good fortune cannot last. The remedy is to become aware of these hidden forms of disbelief and replace them with truths that affirm your right to abundance. Every time you replace a thought of lack with a thought of sufficiency, you chip away at the wall that blocks the flow. Belief is not blind. It is based on an understanding that the universe is orderly, that every cause produces an effect, and that your inner state is the cause of your outer experience. It does not require you to ignore reality, but rather to recognize that reality is malleable. Just as a sculptor sees the finished statue within a block of marble, belief sees the finished manifestation within the current set of circumstances. The sculptor does not doubt that the statue exists within the stone. He simply works until it is revealed. In the same way, belief keeps working, confident that the desired form already exists in the unseen and will emerge through the right channels. Your relationship with abundance is shaped entirely by what you believe about it. If you believe that money is scarce, difficult to obtain, or only for a chosen few, you will live in alignment with that belief, even in the midst of plenty. If you believe that money is plentiful, that it flows easily, and that you are worthy of receiving it, you will live in alignment with that belief, even if you begin with nothing in hand. Belief determines not only what you receive, but also how you perceive what you receive. Two people may have the same amount of wealth, yet one feels rich and the other feels poor, all because of what they believe about wealth. The beauty of belief is that it can be chosen. You are not at the mercy of the beliefs you have inherited or absorbed from others. You can examine them, question them, and replace them with beliefs that serve your highest good. This is the work of inner transformation, to shift from beliefs rooted in fear and limitation to those rooted in faith and abundance. Every time you choose a belief that affirms your infinite supply, you take a step toward living in that supply. It is a process, but each step builds upon the last, creating momentum that eventually makes abundance your natural state. The universe is responsive in nature, like a great mirror reflecting back the images, tones, and impressions you project into it. Certainty acts as the signal that tells this mirror exactly what to reflect. When your thoughts, emotions, and words stand together in unwavering conviction, you send out a frequency so clear and strong that the universe cannot help but respond in kind. Certainty is not the same as arrogance, it is the quiet, grounded knowing that the laws governing all life are as dependable as the rising and setting of the sun. Just as you do not question whether dawn will come, you do not question whether your good will arrive. You know it must, because you have aligned yourself with the principles that make it inevitable. This responsiveness is woven into the very fabric of creation. Every thought and feeling is a cause that sets an effect in motion, and certainty accelerates this process by removing resistance. Doubt acts like friction, slowing down the movement from the unseen to the seen, but certainty is a smooth, clear channel through which manifestation flows freely. When you are certain, you do not push, grasp, or plead. Instead, you operate from the place of already having, and this state draws to you people, events, and opportunities that match the energy you are radiating. The universe does not respond to half-hearted wishes or tentative requests. It responds to declarations backed by full trust in their fulfillment. This is why a small, seemingly impossible dream can manifest for the one who holds it with complete conviction, while a large, easily attainable goal can slip away from the one who doubts. The size of the desire is irrelevant. What matters is the firmness of the belief that it is already yours. Certainty is the magnetic force that calls the invisible into visibility. Consider the way nature operates. A seed does not question whether it will become a tree, it simply grows according to its design, drawing to itself the sunlight, water, and nutrients it requires. There is no hesitation in its process. Likewise, certainty places you in the natural flow of life, where your desires evolve into reality without strain. When you know with every part of your being that what you desire is inevitable, you are like that seed, growing, expanding, and reaching toward your fulfillment with perfect trust. Certainty is not built on constant checking to see if things are working. This checking is rooted in doubt and disrupts the process. Imagine planting seeds and then digging them up each day to see if they have sprouted. You would only delay or prevent their growth. In the same way, when you truly know your manifestation is coming, you do not need to keep testing for signs. You simply live as though it is already done. This living in the end, as though the result is already part of your reality, is one of the most powerful ways to signal certainty to the universe. Your state of certainty also determines the speed of manifestation. A wavering mind sends mixed messages, and the results will match this inconsistency. The universe organizes itself around clarity. When your inner state says, "This is mine," and there is no room for contradiction, the pathways for its arrival open quickly. The people you need to meet appear, the information you need surfaces, and the opportunities you require present themselves. It can seem like coincidence, but it is simply the natural response to the energy of certainty. Certainty does not ignore current circumstances, it simply refuses to be ruled by them. It acknowledges them as temporary conditions, subject to change at any moment. When faced with appearances that contradict your desire, certainty holds firm to the higher truth rather than collapsing into fear. This steadfastness is not stubbornness. It is alignment. It is keeping your focus on the reality you choose, not the one you wish to leave behind. When you act from certainty, your decisions carry a different weight. You move forward without hesitation, speak without apology, and take inspired steps without the need for constant reassurance. This self-assured movement creates momentum, and momentum draws in even more circumstances that affirm your position. People sense this energy and respond to it, often offering their support or cooperation without fully knowing why. The universe works through these interactions, orchestrating events that bring your desired outcome closer. The absence of certainty, on the other hand, causes you to oscillate between desire and fear, hope and doubt. This back and forth confuses the creative process. You may declare abundance one day and lament lack the next, unintentionally canceling out the energy you have set in motion. The universe is not punishing you for this. It is simply responding to the dominant signal you are broadcasting. When the dominant signal is certainty, everything aligns. Certainty also has a calming effect on the mind. When you know that your good is on its way, you are not anxious, impatient, or grasping. This peace of mind is itself attractive, for it signals trust and allows you to remain open to receive. Anxiety tightens the flow. Certainty relaxes it. In this relaxed state, you are more receptive to intuition, more able to recognize opportunities, and more willing to take bold yet aligned action. It is important to understand that certainty is a state you can cultivate. You do not need to wait for it to arrive on its own. It can be developed through repeated affirmation, visualization, and the deliberate choice to act as though your desire is already fulfilled. Each time you reinforce this state, it becomes easier to hold, and eventually it becomes your default way of being. Just as muscles strengthen with consistent training, certainty strengthens with consistent practice. The universe's responsiveness to certainty is impartial. It will respond to certainty in lack as quickly as it responds to certainty in abundance. If you are certain that life is difficult, that money is scarce, or that opportunities are few, then those will be the realities mirrored back to you. This is why it is vital to ensure that your certainty is directed toward the good you wish to experience, not the limitations you fear. The law does not distinguish between constructive and destructive certainty. It simply delivers what is asked for with conviction. Certainty is also expressed in gratitude for what is already yours, even if it exists only in the unseen at the moment. Gratitude is a declaration of faith, an acknowledgement that the thing you desire is already part of your life in essence. This acknowledgement further strengthens the signal you are sending out, making it even more potent. By combining certainty with gratitude, you create an irresistible pull that draws your desire into physical form with greater speed and ease. This is why those who live in certainty often seem to experience a steady flow of good in their lives. They are not relying on chance or luck. They are simply operating in harmony with a law that responds to the clarity and firmness of their belief. They do not waste energy on wondering if something will happen. They invest their energy in preparing for it, making room for it, and aligning themselves with it as though it were already here. In this way, the universe, ever responsive, simply matches the certainty they have already chosen to embody. Wealth is not merely stacks of currency or numbers in a bank account. It is a symbol of the infinite, a visible representation of an unseen, limitless supply. Money is only one form in which this abundance can appear. Just as water can take the form of rain, a river, or a wave, yet always remains water. The essence of wealth is the same. It is energy, flow, and provision, moving through channels that change but are never exhausted. When you understand that wealth is symbolic, you are no longer bound to a single source or method for its arrival. You recognize that the true source is infinite and unconfined, and the forms it can take are without limit. Many limit themselves by believing that wealth must arrive in one particular way: a certain job, a specific business, an inheritance, or a lucky break. This narrow view treats the symbol as the source, confusing the channel with the origin. In reality, the channel is simply one of countless avenues through which the infinite can flow to you. If one path closes, another opens, for the supply itself is never diminished. When you grasp this truth, you stop clinging to particular outcomes and instead hold fast to the principle that the supply is ever present and unfailing. The infinite has no shortage, no gaps, no moments of insufficiency. Just as the ocean does not become less because a cup is dipped into it, the infinite is not reduced by the wealth you receive. In fact, the act of receiving simply affirms your place in the endless circulation of good. Lack therefore, is not an actual condition of the infinite. It is a perception, born from the idea that the symbol is all there is. If you see only the money, and not the infinite abundance behind it, you will fear its loss. But when you know that wealth is symbolic, the fear dissolves, for you understand that the source cannot run dry. This understanding transforms your relationship with money. You no longer treat it as a scarce commodity to be hoarded in fear, but as a flowing energy to be circulated with wisdom and joy. Hoarding from fear stops the flow, circulating from trust increases it. The act of giving, whether through generosity or investment, is an acknowledgement that you live in an endless supply. You release and receive with the same ease. Knowing the essence of wealth is not diminished by its movement, but kept alive through it. Wealth as a symbol of the infinite also means that its forms are as diverse as life itself. A sudden opportunity, an unexpected gift, a favorable connection, a creative idea, or even a timely piece of information. These are all manifestations of abundance. Money is simply the most easily measured form, but to focus only on it is to miss the richness of the infinite's expression. The person who recognizes abundance in all its forms will always feel wealthy, even before money appears in large quantities. This feeling itself is magnetic, for when you feel wealthy, you naturally attract more symbols of wealth. When you see wealth as symbolic, you also stop measuring your worth by your current possessions or accounts. Your value is intrinsic and unchanging, rooted in your connection to the infinite source. No rise or fall in external circumstances can touch that. This inner security allows you to move through life without the fear or desperation that often drives people into decisions that limit them. You are free to act from inspiration rather than survival, to choose boldly, because you know that you are always backed by a limitless supply. Understanding wealth in this way requires a shift from linear thinking to expansive thinking. Linear thinking says there is a fixed amount to be divided, and if one person gains, another must lose. Expansive thinking knows that the infinite creates without subtraction, that there is more than enough for all, and that your gain does not require another's loss. This dissolves envy and competition, replacing them with collaboration and goodwill. When you see others prosper, you take it as evidence of the infinite's generosity, not as a threat to your own prosperity. The symbol of wealth, like any symbol, is neutral until you give it meaning. If you see money as a source of stress, conflict, or moral compromise, you will unconsciously repel it. If you see it as a tool, a form of energy, and an expression of abundance, you will welcome it. The symbol will take on the qualities you ascribe to it. When you regard it with gratitude, respect, and trust, it will circulate in your life with greater ease. This perspective also frees you from the fear of change. Since the form is not the source, a change in form does not mean a loss in supply. You may move from one job to another, shift from one business model to a different one, or experience a temporary dip in visible income, yet still remain connected to the infinite. Such changes are simply the rearranging of channels, the adjustment of form to better serve your growth and fulfillment. The underlying abundance remains untouched. Wealth as a symbol also teaches the importance of inner alignment. Because the outer is a reflection of the inner, the forms of wealth you experience will match your beliefs, emotions, and expectations. If you believe in struggle and scarcity, the symbols that appear will reflect that belief, even if the supply itself remains infinite. If you believe in ease, flow, and sufficiency, the symbols will match those qualities. By shifting your inner state, you naturally shift the symbols that show up in your life. Seeing wealth as a symbol of the infinite also expands the ways you receive. You become open to unexpected channels, no longer limiting yourself to the familiar routes. This openness allows the infinite to work through means you could not have planned or predicted. Opportunities can arrive suddenly, resources can appear from surprising sources, and solutions can come through people you have not yet met. The symbol will change, but the source is always the same. When you interact with wealth from this understanding, you naturally treat it with the right balance of respect and detachment. You appreciate it, manage it wisely, and use it to create value. But you do not cling to it as your sole security. Your security comes from the unchanging nature of the infinite supply. And the money or assets in your possession are simply the current form it is taking. This detachment allows you to make decisions without the paralyzing fear of loss, and this freedom in turn creates more opportunities for gain. In this way, wealth ceases to be an object of pursuit and becomes a natural companion on your path. You do not chase it, for you know it flows to you as an inevitable result of your alignment with the source. You focus on connection to the infinite, on aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with its nature, and the symbols of wealth arrange themselves accordingly. By living in the awareness that wealth is but a shadow of the infinite, you move beyond dependence on form and into the certainty of an unending supply that can take any form needed at any time. The consistent declaration is the steady drumbeat that calls your desires into form, the repeated signal that imprints your vision on the unseen and draws it into the seen. Every time you declare a truth about yourself, your life, and your abundance, you are affirming your alignment with it. Declarations are more than idle words. They are conscious choices to plant seeds in the fertile soil of the mind. Seeds that grow stronger each time they are repeated with conviction. Just as water nourishes a seed day after day until it breaks the surface, consistent declaration nourishes your belief until it manifests in physical reality. The power of consistency lies in its ability to shape the subconscious. The subconscious does not judge whether something is true or false. It accepts whatever is impressed upon it through repetition and emotion. A single declaration spoken once may stir inspiration, but without repetition, it is like a seed left dry in the soil. The subconscious mind responds to rhythm, to the steady and unwavering reinforcement of an idea until it becomes the only version of reality it knows. When you declare your abundance daily, you are not merely speaking to the air. You are speaking to the deepest part of your mind, which in turn directs your actions, perceptions, and opportunities to match your words. Consistency also signals certainty to the universe. A declaration made in passing and forgotten the next day sends a mixed message, like planting a row of seeds and then abandoning the garden. But a declaration made morning after morning, evening after evening, says, "This is not a fleeting wish. This is who I am. And this is my truth." The universe responds to this kind of clarity by organizing events to match it. Even if no visible change occurs at first, the energy of your declaration is already moving, creating shifts that will eventually become apparent. The act of consistent declaration also transforms you internally. In the beginning, the words may feel foreign, as though you are describing someone else's life. But with repetition, they begin to feel natural, familiar, even inevitable. You stop trying to believe them and simply live in them, as though they were always true. This inner shift is a sign that the declaration has taken root, and once a truth is rooted in the subconscious, it will begin to express itself in every area of your life. There is a rhythm to effective declaration. It is not rushed or mechanical but steady and intentional. Speaking your truth with focus and feeling each day creates a momentum that builds over time. The more you declare it, the more you notice opportunities that align with it, the more you take actions that support it, and the more you attract people and situations that mirror it back to you. The declaration becomes both the cause and the effect, reinforcing itself in a cycle that continually strengthens your desired reality. Consistency also dissolves the influence of old, limiting beliefs. Every person carries a mental storehouse of words spoken in the past. Words from parents, teachers, peers, or even themselves, that shaped their view of what is possible. Many of these words were repeated often enough to become ingrained, even if they were untrue. To replace them, you must introduce new words that are repeated with greater frequency and energy than the old ones. Over time, these new declarations overwrite the old programming, replacing patterns of limitation with patterns of abundance. It is important to recognize that consistent declaration works, not only because of the words themselves, but because of the state of mind they create. When you declare your abundance each day, you are putting yourself in the emotional state of having it. This state naturally influences your choices, your creativity, and your openness to receive. A declaration such as, "I live in an endless flow of wealth," is not simply an idea. It becomes a lens through which you interpret every event, and your interpretation shapes your reality. The consistency must be rooted in faith rather than in frantic effort. Declaring your abundance is not about forcing something into existence. It is about aligning yourself with the truth that it already exists in the unseen and is moving toward you. This is why the feeling behind the words is as important as the words themselves. Speaking them with joy, gratitude, and calm assurance is far more powerful than repeating them mechanically without belief. Consistent declaration also creates a sense of inevitability. Each repetition affirms that your desire is not a possibility to be doubted, but a certainty to be experienced. This inevitability seeps into your posture, your tone, your decisions, and the way you carry yourself. People around you begin to sense it, and opportunities respond to it. Life seems to arrange itself in ways that match your steady proclamation, as though the world has taken you at your word. One of the strengths of consistent declaration is that it keeps your focus on what you want, rather than on what you fear or lack. The mind is always declaring something, whether consciously or unconsciously. Without deliberate practice, it may declare lack, difficulty, or limitation simply out of habit. By making your declarations intentional and consistent, you take control of this process, ensuring that the words you speak to yourself and the universe are aligned with your highest vision. Even when circumstances appear unchanged, the practice of consistent declaration builds a foundation for sudden shifts. Many transformations seem to happen overnight, but in reality, they are the result of energy and belief that have been cultivated over time. Just as a plant may show no visible growth above the soil while its roots are expanding below, your consistent declarations may be creating deep changes in the unseen that will eventually burst into visible form. Because wealth is symbolic of the infinite, your declarations can go beyond money to affirm abundance in all its forms: health, love, opportunity, creativity, freedom. By consistently speaking words that claim these forms of wealth, you are not limiting yourself to a single channel of good, but opening yourself to receive in countless ways. This openness allows the infinite to deliver in ways that may surprise and delight you, beyond anything you could have planned. Over time, consistent declaration becomes less of a practice you do and more of a way of being. Your conversations naturally reflect your abundance. Your thoughts naturally lean toward possibility, and your emotions naturally rest in gratitude. You no longer need to remind yourself to declare the good, because it has become the most natural thing to do. At this stage, your external reality mirrors your internal reality, so closely that your declarations are simply descriptions of what is already visible, yet they continue to call forth even greater good. The true strength of consistent declaration is that it aligns your inner and outer worlds. It keeps your mind focused, your emotions elevated, and your actions aligned with your desired reality. Each declaration is like a thread, and with each repetition, you weave a stronger and stronger fabric of belief that eventually becomes the garment of your life. This fabric holds its shape even when temporary challenges arise, because it has been reinforced over time through unwavering, consistent choice of words and focus.